Orlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 3. Good afternoon and happy Friday to you. Welcome to News 6 at 3 o'clock. We are live inside the News 6 newsroom. I'm Matt Austin.
And I'm Ginger Gatz, and we are going to get right to a big breaking news story on this Friday. The Orange County Sheriff's Office just released body cam footage showing the moments deputies responded to that Stardust Racer roller coaster at Epic Universe. You remember this. It was a call about a man who was unresponsive after riding it. This happened September of last year. So anchor Lisa Bell has been looking at this video and breaking it down. She joins us now to talk about what you see in this.
Yeah, this is our first actual real glimpse at the chaos and confusion on the ride's platform that night.
What happened or what's going on?
I have no idea.
Okay.
He was on the ride. From what medical services told me, it looks like a massive cardiac event.
So this clip shows deputies hustling up the stairs to the ride's platform. From this deputy's view, he arrives as crews from Orange County Fire are already performing CPR on Kevin Rodriguez Zavala, who is now off the ride at this point and on the ground nearby. Zavala is eventually taken away from the ride on a stretcher. Deputies then turn their attention to his girlfriend, who we are blurring out of respect for her, but she described what happened and even the details on how she tried to help him.
Went on the ride. I saw him was too low. He doesn't have any support on his leg.
Okay.
They pushed it about 3 times, maybe 4.
Who pushed it? The ride workers?
Yes.
Okay.
I saw him on the first drop. I saw him hit his head. I tried to hold him. I couldn't hold him.
Okay.
Another one, he hit his head.
So he
just went up and hit.
So the seat was loose the whole time?
It looked like he was tight.
Okay.
But it wasn't because, like I said, he doesn't have support on his legs.
Now, Zavala used a wheelchair because of a pre-existing spinal injury. He later died at the hospital. According to the medical examiner, Zavala's cause of death was multiple blunt impact injuries, and the manner of death was listed as accidental. Now, the sheriff's office concluded Universal Orlando employees were not careless or neglectful and closed the case. The family and Universal reached an amicable resolution, and those terms are confidential. News 6's Mike Valenti is digging deeper into this, and he's going to be reviewing all of the footage that we got today, and he'll have another update for us coming up on News 6 at 4.
It is just hard to hear any of that, especially when you know, because we talked about this story at length when it happened, because you just wanted to know what happened.
Yeah, how could something like this happen?
Yeah. And an awful story, and we still have some questions about it. All right, Lisa Bell, thank you so much. Well, the next batch of astronauts are headed to Central Florida. Actually, I think they're arriving right now for a big launch that's supposed to take place next week.
Yeah, next Wednesday, April 1st, mark it on your calendars. The Artemis II mission is scheduled to launch from the Space Coast Wednesday evening. Your Brevard County community correspondent James Barbero joins us now live. He is at the Kennedy Space Center. And James, this has to make the mission feel very, very real right about now.
Hi, Matt and Ginger. So the press conference with the astronauts has just wrapped, and I'm walking around to try and give you a better look at them right now. So I'll raise the camera a little bit, and right there's the crew. They're talking to NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman on the other side of them right there. So that's Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen. They got here around an hour ago. They made great time getting here at Kennedy Space Center from their flight from Houston this morning. And they took our questions regarding their upcoming 10-day flight around the moon, the farthest any crew will ever fly. And I asked them about their excitement about that, and they were very humble. I asked them personally, what does it mean to them to fly this far away from Earth? And really, they're just focused on the task at hand. And right now, it's obviously landing here, staying in quarantine, and then preparing for potentially the April 1st launch date. So they could launch as soon as next Wednesday at 6:24 at night. That's, of course, if no other issues pop up with NASA's SLS rocket, the 322-foot rocket out there at launch pad 39B right now. That's about a couple miles now from where I'm standing here at the old shuttle runway. And, you know, I was thinking, Matt and Ginger, how this crew, by landing here, the Apollo program obviously predated the Space Shuttle program, so this crew is the first to land here that's going on a mission beyond low Earth orbit. How historic that is.
That's pretty wild, James. Also, I like the way they travel. That's not...
they're rolling big.
They're not on Spirit Airlines there. That was a pretty slick move. I like that. So once the astronauts head up for launch, James, what's going to happen? What are the goals for this mission?
So what's really important this time is having a crew on the SLS for just the first time. So everything was automated 4 years ago when they did the uncrewed test of the SLS and the Orion capsule. Well, this time the crew can actually test out the life support systems, which they're going to do for the entire first day of their 10-day mission. Everything goes right then they can get the green light to go into lunar orbit, fly towards the moon, fly around the dark side of the moon. And now that you have a crew flying around the moon, they can take pictures, Matt and Ginger, of the moon, which NASA has described it will look like to them if you were to imagine holding a basketball at about an arm's length from your face. And then, of course, they can take pictures, too, of the lunar surface, where in just another 2 years, everybody, NASA hopes to land astronauts there.
All right, James Barbero, you are definitely in the catbird seat right now. I'm so jealous. Can't wait to be out there next week. What a great view of that rocket on that launch pad. And we're all going to see it hopefully launch next Wednesday.
All right, we'll see. Well, definitely don't look at your portfolios. I can tell you that. It looks like the bottom of one of those rockets on fire today.
That's awful.
The Dow Jones having a very rough end to the week. It's down 776 points, more than 1.5%. That's just today. In the last month, the Dow is down more than 3,700 points. The S&P 500 also on track for a fifth straight week of declines. It's been brutal. Much of it spurred on by the drama happening in the Hormuz Strait there and the Iran war causing gas prices to spike, which has had a huge impact on the economy. All right, at any moment now, the state Supreme Court is expected to hear get an update on that death row case just days before execution was supposed to happen. This is a very rare event in Florida here. We brought you this story as breaking news at 3 yesterday. State Supreme Court ordered a stay in James Duckett's execution, demanded the state provide the results of new DNA testing Duckett's attorneys had asked for. The former Mascot police officer was found guilty of raping and murdering an 11-year-old girl back in 1987. The new DNA test is here. Duckett was scheduled to be executed Tuesday. News 6 investigator Mike DeForest keeping a close eye on everything as we approach the state's 5 p.m. deadline. He's going to have an update on that coming up at 4 o'clock.
All right, well, now it is back to the drawing board to get airport security back up and running as usual, right? So let's take a live look right now. This is inside the U.S. Capitol. We're just more than a half hour ago, Speaker Mike Johnson says there will be no vote on the Senate-passed bill to fund a part of the Department of Homeland Security, including TSA. The Senate unanimously passed a bill to fund the TSA and all DHS agencies except for ICE agencies, except for ICE and Border Protection. This happened at 2 this morning. Now, the Speaker called the bill, quote, a joke, and says the House will vote on an alternative bill instead. Last night, President Trump announced he would sign executive action to pay TSA officers using funds from last year's GOP spending bill if the congressional stalemate continues. Now, we're keeping a close eye on the House chambers, and we'll update you if and when this vote happens, hopefully soon.
And we're seeing those long lines across airports all over the country. Well, they're not happening everywhere. We're going to talk about why coming up.
Plus, a lot of you are, what you're saying about discussions to replace a key part of airport security coming up.
By now, we've all seen those videos and pictures of long TSA lines at airports across the country, but it's not taking place at every airport. I'm your community correspondent, Troy Campbell, and right now we're at Orlando Sanford International Airport, where security is moving pretty fast for passengers, and that's because we're told these screeners aren't being paid through the TSA during this government shutdown.
I'm very excited that I don't have a long line to wait.
Connie Goodnight just drove in from the Villages to fly out of Orlando Sanford International Airport on Thursday. With long TSA lines in airports across the country amid the federal government shutdown, she says she checked ahead of time to see what kind of wait she could expect.
I did, but I had spoke with a friend of mine who had flown out of this airport earlier, and she said no problems.
And she isn't alone. There's not a long line.
Right.
How does that make you feel? You got a lot of young
We
kids.
are so happy because our plane's been delayed, so now we're super happy it's going to be fast.
Right now we're standing by the security checkpoint at the Orlando Sanford International Airport. And as you can see, people are moving through pretty fast. They say it's just going to be a few minutes to get through. And it's actually because you see those security screeners. They're not actually being paid by the TSA during this government shutdown.
Wait times today have averaged about 6 minutes.
George Speak is the deputy CEO of the Sanford Airport. He says it's been more than a decade since they started taking part in the TSA Screening Partnership Program.
The training they go through, what they do on a daily basis is identical to what federal screeners do.
Speak says through the program, there are 3 on-site TSA managers who then oversee the group of security screeners who are hired by a third-party contractor.
The folks that are actually doing the screening, however, are not TSA employees. They work for that vendor. They go through the exact same training. They have the same job here. There's really no difference other than a uniform being a different color than the folks you see at other airports.
Speak also says having private security screeners saves money.
You get the same product, cheaper price, and it's a contract, so these folks keep getting paid.
Over the weekend, Governor Ron DeSantis posted on X his support for more Florida airports to handle their own security outside of TSA.
Exactly. He wants to see more of this model. You're replacing the federal screeners with a private screening entity, and the TSA still has oversight over the entire program.
Officials here at Orlando Sanford say they do expect other airports across the country to gain interest in this exact security model following this long government shutdown. In Sanford, Troy Campbell, News 6.
All right, so a lot of you are talking about privatizing airport security.
And our social media guru DJ takes a look at some of your comments.
All right, the story everyone's been talking about across the entire country. Wait times at the airport. Yeah, if you've traveled recently, you know wait times have reached historic levels. And a big reason for that is TSA facing severe staffing shortages because of a partial government shutdown. While the White House has sent ICE agents to some airports to help out, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has taken to social media to float another idea. He's suggesting, what if we took TSA out of airports and moved toward a private security solution? Now, we have a whole article up on clickorlando.com about all of this, but our post on the News 6 Facebook page has hundreds of comments. So let's just dive right into it. Jeffrey says, I gotta be honest, my local airport had a private TSA company. You could show up 20 minutes before your flight and be fine. Renard says all commercial airlines should assume responsibility for paying the salaries of all Transportation Security Administration employees. Rob says TSA employees should just be local airport employees following federal security guidelines. Carlos says, let's take air travel back to the 90s. Again, we're talking about historic wait times as thousands of TSA employees work without pay. So what do you think can be done to prevent this from happening the next time? Go to that QR code on the screen. It'll take you to our Facebook post where you can leave a comment and find a link to our article on clickorlando.com where you can read all about what Governor DeSantis is proposing.
I don't think we're taking air travel back to the 90s anytime soon. We remember what happened in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But if you are interested in talking about this, this is our poll of the day. It is a QR code. You can scan it with your phone, bottom left-hand corner of the screen, and let's see what you're talking about.
All right, so we want to know, do you feel safe going through airports in the U.S.? Right now, 80% of you say you don't even fly? But the 20% of you who do say that you feel just fine. It's a lot of people not flying. I guess if you're in Florida, you're taking this poll, then you're already in the best place to live.
Why would you
So you're not
travel
going
anywhere
anywhere.
else? That's a
Yeah.
great
And,
point.
Okay, but I do feel safe. I mean, I feel fine.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I only get a
you have to do
cavity
a
search
striptease?
every other time I go through.
It's
so,
fine.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Safe.
I don't mind it. Well, still to come, what some are suggesting to cut down on the national debt that could impact your wallet.
Plus, the big bonus coming to a bunch of fast food workers. I bet they could use it. That's coming up.
I'm News 6 anchor Louis Bolden. Employees at Five Guys will soon get some extra money. And there's a new proposal to shrink the federal deficit. Let's get over to Maribel Aber in today's Money Matters. And Maribel, this has to do with Social Security benefits.
You hit the nail on the head there, Louis. So a Washington think tank is proposing a cap to annual Social Security benefits as a way to shrink the federal deficit. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget suggests Benefits top out at $100,000 a year for retired couples. Single retirees would receive up to $50,000. The group says the move could eventually help balance the nation's retirement trust fund. Many retirement advocates are pushing back on the idea, calling the cap a potential gateway to other cuts in benefits. Lewis.
We'll have to continue to watch that one for sure. And Five Guys employees are getting a bonus after a promotion went a little better than expected.
Okay, employees at the burger chain Five Guys will share $1.5 million in bonuses after a BOGO promotion drove unexpected demand. Well, earlier this year, it offered the buy one, get one promo to celebrate its 40th anniversary. The deal caught fire. Stores were overwhelmed. Some locations ran out of food, while others had to shut down mobile orders. The CEO later told Fortune magazine that he had, quote, no idea the response would be so huge. He calls the bonuses a thank you to the workforce that managing the challenges that day. For customers, Five Guys brought back the BOGO deal better prepared and posted an apology on its website. Lewis, listen, BOGO, anything food, I'm your +1.
Listen, I'm down for it too. Maribel, thank you so much. And remember to get the latest money and consumer news anytime. Just head to clickorlando.com.
Burger BOGO just sounds really good together, doesn't it?
Sounds like a new place.
Sounds like it's raising my cholesterol.
Right now, yeah.
Burger BOGO, that would be a good name for a restaurant. All right, well, hundreds of veterans, families, and neighbors turned out to Daytona Beach today as a long-awaited Vietnam memorial was revealed. Let's get you a look at this. 5 foot tall, 8.5 feet wide. This wall serves as the Vietnam Memorial in Daytona Beach along the Halifax River there. It's now part of the city's Veterans Memorial Park. It includes scenes from the memorial wall in D.C. as a lasting tribute to those from Volusia County who served in Vietnam.
You know, the Vietnam veterans came home, they did their duty, and they weren't well received. And I think it's very important that we do everything we can to repair that damage. This is just one way. Sunday is Vietnam Veterans Memorial Day. It's a day that we want to celebrate.
This is something that I've always wanted to do, is to have this monument built to recognize our 58,400 killed in action.
Definitely something we should never forget. The memorial was made possible by $35,000 in donations.
That's so special. I love that they're doing that. And if you ever get the opportunity to go to the one in Washington, D.C., it is quite a moving experience.
That'll stop you in your tracks. Still to come here on News 6 at 3, there's an apartment complex. We're going to tell you what they're doing to try to help neighbors who can't go back home, why the county says it's still not safe to head back.
And then coming up on the news at 4 o'clock, we're following a group of women who are working 2 very different jobs and the skill set it takes.
Coming up on Monday, hundreds of homeowners facing a big hike in fees. The city that says it needs to raise rates and what it could mean for your wallet. Plus, cutting the ribbon on a brand new road. The fast-growing area set to see some traffic relief. We'll see you Monday for News 6 Morning, starting at 6.
Well, welcome back to News 6 at 3 o'clock. A man who killed a father of 3 in a road rage incident was just sentenced to 50 years in prison.
Yeah, a jury found the 30-year-old guilty of first-degree murder. News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez was in the courtroom when he learned his fate.
6 years after Nail Abraham killed 45-year-old Eric Schnetzer, he learned his fate.
As it relates to count 1, second-degree murder with a firearm, the court will sentence Mr. Abraham to 50 years in prison, with credit for time served of 2,045 days. The court will grant the defense's motion to dismiss count 2, third-degree murder, felony murder with a firearm.
Last year, Abraham was found guilty of shooting the nurse and father of 3 in the head in July of 2020. Evidence at trial showed the encounter between the two began on the turnpike. Abraham then followed Schnetzer to Orange Blossom Trail, pulled up next to him at an intersection, shot him, and drove away. The judge handed down that 50-year sentence with no explanation. Abraham's attorney tells us that he and Abraham's family were hoping for the minimum sentence of 25 years.
I was disappointed because I didn't feel like there was any aggravating circumstances in this case, and the mandatory minimum was more than adequate.
State Attorney Monique Worrell says this outcome is an example of her office's commitment to being tough on road rage.
We will continue to monitor and aggressively ensure accountability for road rage cases, particularly when the result is a community member being killed.
Schnetzer's widow feels justice was served and implored drivers to think twice before escalating a road rage situation because it's not worth what you can lose.
Be safe and live life, and it's always cherish those memories, you know. And like I've been saying since day one, you just never know till it happens to you. So, but yeah, it's a relief today. So.
In Orange County, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Inadequate maintenance, disrepair, and deterioration is how code enforcement in Seminole County is describing the Pebble Creek at Lake Mary apartment.
So more than 80 units were evacuated because of structural concerns there, and the county says these people can't go back until it's all safe for them to do so. Your Seminole County community correspondent, Alex Cook, joins us from these apartments. So, Alex, what's the latest on this?
Well, Matt, the county actually just sent us new numbers within the last hour of the number of violations that were here at this complex. They said that there were 112 total violations. There's 28 residential buildings, and each of those buildings has 4 violations, so that's how they get the 112 violations. I've been out here talking to some people that live here. This building I'm in, no one upstairs is allowed to go back into their apartments other than to pick up some personal belongings. The people downstairs are unaffected, but
All right, we're having a little bit of a problem with Alex's live shot there, but he will have more coming up on the news at 4 o'clock. But those people just need a resolution.
They've been through it. Yeah, hopefully they
they're
can
not the only
find a
ones.
place to live soon.
Yeah. Well, for the first time since their mission was cut short, we are now hearing from the astronaut who had medical issues, you remember this, aboard the ISS, and it brought them home early. It never happened before in the history of NASA. In an interview with CBS News, astronaut Mike Fink spoke about what happened to him on board the International Space Station. NASA's SpaceX Crew 11 returned from the International Space Station just over 2 months ago. The crew was initially supposed to stay in orbit until mid-February, but last month, NASA confirmed Fink was indeed the astronaut who had the medical event on January 7th, the day before he was scheduled to take part in a spacewalk, and that was obviously postponed. Fink says, to this day, no one has any idea of exactly what happened.
My crewmates all helped me get through what it was, and I'm not being vague, is that we're still trying to figure out exactly what it might have been. We can say a lot of things it wasn't. For example, I did not have a heart attack. Some of the world's finest machines, world's finest doctors were taking a look to see what happened. We still don't know exactly.
Wow. Okay, so it looks like he's doing fine now, though. Fink says if there's a silver lining, it helped NASA get an idea of how to get an astronaut back home if there's an issue with an astronaut on the moon, or perhaps even
He's just a glass
Mars.
half full kind of guy, I guess.
No, that's
Yeah.
great though, but I'm glad that he's doing okay, and he came forward himself because, you know, NASA's not going to say who it was, but
Right.
you had a great point because these astronauts have to be in tip-top shape, and the other astronauts are like, hey, it's not me.
Yeah,
I
and
signed up
a
for other
relief
jobs.
that it wasn't
Something
what
more
they
serious,
thought.
yeah.
It wasn't a heart attack. Yeah.
Well, this next story is bizarre. He's a somewhat notorious influencer on social media. He's facing charges right here in Central Florida. So this is his name, is Braden Peters, but you may know him online as the Clavicular. He was arrested yesterday in Broward County on an Osceola County warrant. The sheriff's office says deputies were called in to an Airbnb in Kissimmee. This was back on February 2nd, where a woman says Peters instigated a fight between her and another woman. He then recorded it and posted it on social media, of course. Peters is facing misdemeanor battery and conspiracy to commit battery charges. The other woman involved in the fight, Violet Lentz, has an active battery warrant, but has not been tracked down by detectives just yet. Peters gained notoriety on social media for pushing what's called looksmaxing. It means
Get
things
ready.
like,
Get ready for this.
all right, so you smash your bones in your face, and he did his in his jawline to get a more pronounced jawline. I was hoping you'd keep his picture up so you could see that jawline and
I
see
have
if it was
not
worth
done
it.
bone smashing.
I don't even understand
Apparently, yeah,
what
they
that even
fracture
means.
bones in their face. There
There's
he
a
is. Yeah. And
Okay.
that's what gives him that stellar jawline.
hard pass.
Absolutely.
Okay.
He is not a doctor.
He's-
I don't think he has his medical degree.
No, please don't smash your jawline.
Seems like a terrible idea. Internet culture. All right, well, we talk about it all the time, how much Central Florida is growing, but there's actually a place in Central Florida growing faster than any place in the country, and the winner is, U.S. Census Bureau says, in terms of percentage, Ocala saw the largest population growth of any metro area in the U.S. over the last year. Officials say from July 1st, 2024 to last year, the area's population grew by 3.4%. That's about 15,000 people. 3% of your whole population grows in 1 year. That's incredible. In terms of overall growth purely by people moving there, the Orlando, Kissimmee, Sanford metro area saw the 10th largest increase, with over 37,000 people moving there over that same time frame. For comparison, that's just over 0.1% increase in that population for that much larger area there.
I mean, we talk about the growth here all the time. It is astounding.
People continue to move here, and other people, there's a lot of not in my backyarders popping
NIMBYs.
up saying we
Yeah.
don't want all of this growth, but the people, you got to put the people
What are the
somewhere.
choices?
New details of another alarming incident in the sky. This one in California, where a commercial jet apparently got way too close to a helicopter. Let's take a look at the scene here. United Flight 589 was coming from LA from San Francisco Tuesday night. 168 people were on board. This could have been a real disaster. It came close to a Black Hawk helicopter conducting a routine nighttime training mission. The apparent close call comes after the FAA tightened rules for helicopters operating around airports just last week. Controllers and pilots were tracking the chopper when the 737's collision avoidance system alerted them, telling the pilots to stop their descent and level off.
This is closer than we would like for airplanes and helicopters to be. However, it does show that the system worked as intended in light of the fact that something was not right.
So the California Air Guard pledging a thorough review. The FAA is investigating. Lawmakers in Washington still considering potential aviation safety reforms after a deadly collision from almost a very similar incident here. This was early January of 2025, flight coming into D.C. You'll remember it, and a Black Hawk collided as that helicopter was returning from a night training mission. All 67 people on board both aircraft were killed, including the pilot, who was a local 34-year-old Jonathan Campos. That Ormond Beach native was a certified commercial airline pilot. Graduated right over there in Embry-Riddle and trained at the Epic Flight Academy in New Smyrna Beach.
Situation.
So terrifying that two incidents like this could happen
Yeah.
within such a short period of time.
All right, we're going to talk about a story where 3 people are now facing charges in a theft ring, and it's all over booze, liquor, the hard stuff. All right, so take a look at this picture.
What else? You got another name?
I don't. I ran out, actually. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office says deputies found all this alcohol you see right, what? In a home. earlier this
Wow.
month. A Tampa-based
It's a party
alcohol
right there.
distribution company said a lot of their inventory was disappearing. So apparently a worker there was loading pallets full of high-end cases of liquor during their overnight shifts. They were then loaded onto delivery trucks, but the driver took them to a Wendy's instead of a liquor store. That's where another car owned by someone else picked it up and took the booze to this house you see right there, where they sold it. Detectives recorded about $75,000 in stolen liquor. Oh my gosh, they had quite the operation
Where
going.
do you sell black market booze, though? I don't understand.
No, you just bought it. You buy it from that guy's house,
Just
his
go over
garage.
there to
yes.
your neighbor's house?
I hear you have the good stuff. Go right to the garage door.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I would imagine so. Wow, that was crazy. All right, well, some safety rules versus rights. That's the question in this case that really is between the U.S. Department of Justice and the company that owns SeaWorld. We just told you about this one yesterday.
Yeah, and it all has to do with those wheeled walkers that are banned from the park. News 6's Amy Russo spoke with a woman who says she was actually turned away.
This lawsuit could be life-changing for people like Nancy Schwartz. She hopes that with it on the table, one day she'll be able to go to SeaWorld again without feeling uncomfortable.
When SeaWorld turned away your rollator, did you feel that that was a violation of your rights?
Absolutely. ADA is very specific that you need to be allowed the medical device that you need to live a normal as can be life. And without that, I can't live the life that I want to live.
Going to SeaWorld isn't what it once used to be for Nancy Schwartz. Ever since their parent company, United Parks and Resorts, Inc., or UPR, banned rollators with seats in November, she says it's more of a hassle to go than a joy.
We still go, but I don't feel comfortable there. I worry about falling. I come home and my neck and back hurt.
According to SeaWorld's website, despite reminders and previous steps, including requiring signed waivers, we continue to see misuse and safety-related incidents. For these reasons, rollators with seats are not permitted. We posted this story on our social media and found that Nancy isn't the only person who's upset at this move. In fact, one woman commented saying her husband had to give up his pass because he needs a rollator due to a back issue. This prompted the Justice Department to sue UPR, claiming it violates Title III of the Americans with Disabilities Act and seeks a court order to force UPR to stop discriminating against individuals with disabilities. In response to the suit, UPR released this statement saying in part, United Parks and Resorts disagrees with the claims asserted in the Department of Justice's complaint and will respond through the legal process. We offer alternative mobility devices at no cost to ensure guests can fully enjoy our parks. We believe our approach is consistent with the requirements of the ADA and reflects our commitment to providing a safe and inclusive experience. Other types of walkers that do not have a seat are permitted, and SeaWorld will even provide one to guests who need one. But Nancy says many of these devices are customized to the person who uses them, and a generic one isn't the same.
If I offered you a pair of my size 5.5, 2-inch heels and said, all shoes are the same, can you wear these? The answer is probably not. They're not all the same, they're different.
We'll have this full lawsuit on our website, clickorlando.com. In Orlando, Amy Russo, News 6.
That was an important story. I think she makes a really good point that it's not a one-size-fits-all.
It is definitely not.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, but after that, meteorologist Julie Broughton is going to have a look at your weather forecast.
Can't wait for the weekend. All right, plus, the problem people have with a proposed rest stop along a particular highway.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Bill Ray Nissan Longwood. We do it the right way.
Hey, welcome back. We've got some weather for you. Meteorologist Julie Broughton. We were both going over our weekend plans.
Yes, it's important to work those out.
Vital. There's a regatta. Is it going to be a rainy regatta? Or?
Well, yeah, I was talking about a regatta tomorrow in Claremont, but they actually moved the time up, so they're doing a condensed regatta early in the morning because of a front coming in and some strong winds. So that is going to be the big deal this weekend.
They listen to their weather people, I guess.
I mean, it's important. It can be dangerous if they don't. Here's what it looks like outside right now in Daytona Beach. Look at all that gorgeous blue sky. A lot of folks out enjoying the beach today. Now, as we head through the weekend, the beach and boating conditions, because of those winds we talked about, are really going to deteriorate. So we have high surf advisories in place. We actually have a gale warning in place for this weekend. And here's why. So here's a look at our clouds and rain forecast. We could still squeeze out a few more sea breeze showers this afternoon. But watch what happens as we move into the overnight hours and first part of the day tomorrow. There is a front that will move through our area, and it comes through early. And as it moves through initially, it doesn't really bring a lot of fanfare with it. But I want you to notice those blue lines behind that front, how tightly packed those are. That shows us where our winds are really going to pick up from the northeast. That will pick up on some moisture from the Atlantic and produce some showers. But watch what happens as we roll you through the afternoon hours. So here we are at noon, okay? Winds gusting around 15 to 25 miles per hour along the coast. But even just between noon and 4 o'clock, watch how those wind gusts really pick up. So we're talking about 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts across our northern areas, and then along the coastal areas, at times we'll see winds gusting close to 40 miles per hour. Yeah, so if you have outdoor plans or picnics, things like that, you need to kind of hold everything down. And the winds will stay elevated.
Paperweight, huh?
Yeah, exactly. You know, make sure it's a ponytail kind of weekend too. I know that you'll be looking
I'll
into
have my man bun
Yes,
going.
you'll do a sleek pony. We do have wind advisories posted for all of our counties as we head through the weekend again, because winds gusting at times close to 40 miles per hour. A few isolated showers Saturday and Sunday, but that front that brings us the strong winds does bring us a little bit of a cool down on Sunday, with highs only going into the low to mid 70s.
All right, that Sunday looks great.
Yes, and you can keep up with all of these changes and track conditions where you are anytime with our free News 6 weather app. Just search WKMG in your app store.
I'm Molly Reed, your Volusia County community correspondent. A proposed truck stop is getting some pushback from residents here in the DeLand area. Now, this truck stop travel plaza would be just off State Route 44 here near the old Budget Inn in BP here just outside of DeLand. We're told that it would have a restaurant, convenience store, restrooms, places for truck drivers to stop and take a break. Now, we couldn't get an answer just yet on how many specific spots there would be for semi-trucks, but we're told there would be several dozens of those and even more for cars.
In the morning going toward I-4, in the evening coming from I-4, it's backed up for potentially a mile.
That's before adding dozens of semi-trucks.
In the last 2 weeks, there have been 4 major traffic incidents in this area.
Folks who live by the proposed plaza, especially in this 55 up community next door, have several concerns. Noise and traffic in the area are just 2 of them.
The prevailing winds are going to blow right over this neighborhood, so if you've got trucks idling, all the diesel exhaust is going to come right our way. You've got light pollution. They're talking about putting signage up so that it's visible from I-4.
Now, the state has said there is a truck stop shortage throughout Central Florida. FDOT actually has plans to build 2 just east of here off of I-4, with construction beginning this summer.
I don't understand why they have to choose this spot to put another one in there.
The land for the proposed plaza is in unincorporated Volusia County, but borders DeLand. The city actually sent the county a letter opposing the project too.
I don't want to be somebody that says, not in my backyard. That's selfish, and I don't want to be like that. There is a need for a truck stop, but I believe they could find a better location.
Now, county spokesperson told me that the company behind the truck plaza has submitted an application to the county that is currently under staff review. From there, it'll go to a Volusia County Planning Committee for a vote, then to the County Council. I'm your Volusia County community correspondent, Molly Reed, News 6.
Well, years of preparation have led to next week's scheduled Artemis II launch.
Yeah, and for some parts of that rocket, perfection has taken decades.
So it's a mix of new and old technology. And I'm going to bring in some new technology right here. We have Donovan Myrie joining us. He is joining us to tell us what exactly is going on with this huge mission that's supposed to launch next week.
I don't know if I can handle 3 anchors. My goodness.
You can handle it. I believe in you.
All right, we're going to go over 3 things that most people probably don't know about Artemis, okay? The Artemis launch is scheduled for next week. April 1st is our first launch window. Hopefully we'll get it off on that first try. We'll see kind of how it goes. All right, first thing we need to talk about is something that went wrong with Artemis 1. Everything worked, but something didn't work the way it was supposed to. And you're looking at the video right now. This is the heat shield. Basically what happened was when that capsule came down, the heat shield was charred and there were cracks on the surface. And that's not what engineers expected. What ended up, for a couple of years they looked at things, what ended up happening was they discovered that because the capsule used what's called a skip maneuver, kind of like skipping a rock over the water, it went into the hot, back in the cold, into the hot. That gas got underneath, you got it, and basically it ended up charring and cracking and trapping gas underneath the surface. Next thing to talk, trapping the gas. Next thing to talk about is the engines, all right? You're looking at the engines right here. These are the engines that go on Artemis on the core stage. 4 engines. Did you know they're from the shuttle area?
I did.
Yes, they're from the shuttle area. One of those engines on Artemis 1 flew back in 1984.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, rebuilt. Trust me, they're fine. It's just really interesting that they're using that old technology. Okay, last thing to talk about with the boosters, those boosters go with the engines. That whole main core doesn't get reused. Basically, it goes up, goes down to the ocean, never to be seen again.
Yeah. But to reuse technology from 1984, haven't we improved since then?
Yes, the technology has improved. The hardware, it still works fine. It's like taking an old motor, retuning it, redoing it, and basically...
But that old motor still has the old miles on it.
This is steel, right?
Okay, I don't know. I don't know how cars work.
Yeah, steel's expensive, and they're just basically reusing the housing.
Trying to be
You're
economical.
right.
Yeah,
that's fine.
And
a big
remember,
question.
it was on the shelf. That stuff was still there, so let's use it.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're trying their best.
And shaving off a few dollars.
And just so you know, we have a package airing later on. There's an infographic online. Read the article. The article goes into much deeper, much deeper.
You probably spent a month on that article.
I
This
did,
guy does a
yes.
good article. Appreciate you.
See you guys.
Thanks,
Hey, speaking of hardware, there was some hardware that was handed out today in Orange County.
Was it?
I think so. Take a look. We have some. Ooh, look at this.
Oh, wow.
Look at these faces. Do you recognize that tall person in the middle there? That is our very own Ginger Gadsden, recognized this morning by Orange County Public Schools with their Heart of Gold Volunteer of the Year Award. So congratulations, Ginger. And you do a lot with Orange County Public Schools. This is a beautiful award. This actually comes...
That's real crystal. It was the Crystal Awards. And I love this part, but this part was made by some students at one of the Orange County schools.
Oh.
And which is why anything the kids do, I'm all for it. And honestly, I love volunteering because of the teachers and because how teachers have impacted all of us. So if you ask me to come to a school to do anything, I'm going to be there.
Well deserved,
Love
Ginger.
that. Thank you
I feel
so
like
much.
you already got this.
Don't hand it to
I don't know
me
why
again.
I'm
It's
holding
heavy,
your
too.
award.
All right, we will be right back.
Sorry.
This weekend, some showers and cooler temperatures are in the forecast, but don't let that stop the fun. I'm meteorologist Michelle Morgan with your 6 things to do, and I'm here in downtown Eustis where the Japan Festival will be happening on Saturday. I spoke to the organizers, Chelsea and Sebastian, about what you can expect.
Well, it's going to be vibrant. There's going to be sounds and smells and arts all around you.
We will be featuring from Itasha cars, which have Japanese anime design on them, Japanese antiques, Japanese vintage items. We have craftsmen coming in from Kyoto, which will show their shibori designs.
It's from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and it's free. Next up, for barbecue, carnival rides, and family fun, head to Pig on the Pond in Claremont at Waterfront Park. It'll be going on all weekend. Don't miss the Orlando Boat Show this weekend. Fun for families and boat lovers, with kids trout fishing and more. Tickets are $10 online. Head to the Daytona Turkey Run at the Daytona International Speedway this weekend. Check out classic and custom cars, explore Artisan Alley, and let the kids enjoy the fun zone. See A Night of Magic with Cardini on Saturday at Live Oak Cultural Center in New Smyrna Beach. Fun family-friendly comedy and mind-bending tricks, perfect for date night. Sanford Pints and Paws Festival in downtown Sanford is Saturday from 11 a.m. to 6. Free to attend with live music, food trucks, vendors, and beer sampling. And if you have a great event happening in your town next weekend, let me know. To submit your event, head over to clickorlando.com or our new 6 app, just click contact us.
Lot going on.
Yeah,
We are getting
something
ready
for everyone.
Yeah, we're getting ready for News 6 at 4, though.
Coming up, News 6's Mike Valenti is looking into some new body cam video that was released today out of Orange County and deputies' response to that person who died on the epic roller coaster last year. We're going to have the latest on that video coming up. News 6 at 4 starts right now.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 4.
The 4 astronauts who will return America's space program to the moon have arrived at Kennedy Space Center, and I just got to watch them land.
I'm meteorologist Julie Broughton tracking a cold front that's now to our north, when it arrives in Central Florida, and what that means for your weekend.
Eliminating TSA, union workers say, would be a mistake. Coming up, I'll share more what they have to say after the governor's recent comments.
But first, we start off with breaking news. President Trump just signed an executive order that will pay Transportation Security Administration employees.
The president says his administration will use funds from last year's GOP spending bill to cover the payments.
The new Homeland Security Secretary said workers should begin seeing paychecks as early as Monday. Today, the U.S. House rejected the Senate-passed bill to fund the TSA and all DHS agencies except for ICE and Border Patrol. The House Speaker said instead, House Republicans will try to pass a bill that would fund the entire department at current levels until May 22nd. We're following more breaking news for you on this Friday. Our news partners in West Palm Beach reporting that professional golfer Tiger Woods has been involved in a rollover crash. This happened this afternoon on Jupiter Island. We're expecting to get more information in about an hour when the Martin County Sheriff gives us an update on this situation. You'll remember in 2021, Woods was in a bad crash in California, which left him with significant leg injuries. We, of course, will let you know what comes out of that 5 o'clock update.
We are getting a look at body camera video showing the chaotic moments after a 32-year-old man was found unresponsive while riding Epic Universe's Stardust Racers roller coaster. The medical examiner said he died from blunt impact injuries and it was an accident.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office later closed the investigation. Your Orlando community correspondent Mike Valenti went through that footage and joins us now live. He is in the newsroom. Mike?
Yeah, Ginger, Lisa, there are a lot of videos here, including the moments first responders performed CPR on Kevin Rodriguez Zavala. Now, due to its sensitive nature, we will not show you that video, but what we will show you is deputies' initial impression of what was happening that night and the first interview with Kevin Rodriguez Zavala's girlfriend.
I'm being advised it's not looking good.
Body camera footage from that night in September.
From what medical services told me, it looks like a massive cardiac event.
Reflecting the uncertainty surrounding what happened.
They said, oh yeah, head injury at Stardust. I was like, somebody slipped and fell. It seems like he had swung it around.
The medical examiner would later determine Zavala did not die naturally, but rather from blunt impact injuries to his head, neck, legs, and torso. Zavala had used a wheelchair because of a pre-existing spinal injury.
I saw him on the first drop. I saw him hit his head. I tried to hold him. I couldn't hold him.
While medics tended to Zavala, deputies spoke to his girlfriend, who was on the ride next to him.
He kept hitting his head. I tried to hold him so he doesn't hit his head anymore.
There's still more we received from the Orange County Sheriff's Office, including an audio interview with Kevin Rodriguez Zavala's family. That's coming up tonight at 6. Ginger?
All right, Mike Valenti live in the newsroom for us. Mike, thank you. A live look now. This is our camera in Daytona Beach. A heads up. Changes arrive this weekend as a cold front brings rain, gusty winds, and a slight cool down.
Meteorologist Julie Broughton joins us now with what we can expect, Julie.
I mean, a lot of people are out there enjoying their Friday on the beach. Now, beach and boating conditions will begin to deteriorate this weekend, all thanks to this front. It is pushing to the south, and as it moves through central Florida, behind that, we're really going to see the winds picking up. So we already have wind advisories posted starting around 11 o'clock tomorrow morning through Sunday morning. We're talking about winds gusting from the northeast at times around 35 to 45 miles per hour. In fact, look at this. So tomorrow, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we're looking at the potential of wind gusts around 34 miles per hour in the Villages, 30 miles per hour in Palm Coast, and 28 miles per hour in Orlando. So again, we are looking at rough beach, rough boating conditions. Right now, we are seeing a moderate threat of rip currents, but lots of folks out enjoying just a beautiful afternoon. You see all that blue sky out there. 82 degrees right now in Daytona Beach. Look at this, you're at 88 in the Villages, 85 right now in Leesburg, and 84 in Kissimmee. We will see a cool down headed our way by Sunday. We will break that down for you and talk about how cool we're talking in just a few minutes.
All right, Julie, thank you. Now to a live look at the SLS moon rocket on the launch pad. 4 astronauts are now at the Kennedy Space Center just days before their potential record-breaking flight around the moon. The astronauts arrived just a few hours ago.
Yeah, the Artemis II mission will fly deeper into space than any crew has gone before. So your Space Coast reporter, James Barbero, joins us now live from KSC. You got to watch the astronauts arrive. James, what a spectacular day.
Hi, Ginger and Lisa, and I could really feel their excitement. Commander Reed Wiseman telling the crowd over at the old Space Shuttle runway, let's go to the moon, and everybody applauding. So let's show you right now that crew of 4, Reed Wiseman, the commander, Victor Glover, Jeremy Hansen, and Christina Cook, arriving here about 2 hours ago at Kennedy Space Center. Their flight around the moon, a 10-day mission that could pave the way for NASA to land astronauts on the moon. It could take off as soon as next Wednesday, that's April the 1st, at 6:24 at night. I wanted to ask the astronauts how they feel about making history going further in space than any crew before. Listen to the humble answer. What does it mean to each of you to be flying farther away from Earth than any crew before in more than 60 years of American spaceflight?
You know, I love the fact that people highlight that, and communications highlights it. It is a milestone. If we do pass it, there's no guarantee we will, but if we do, we should celebrate the pioneers who came before us that put us in this position to be breaking a record like that, and then we should, throw that out to the next generation to say, hey, let's go even further.
Now, if you've been following the pre-launch campaign, you know that the crew's SLS rocket has been having setbacks with more technical issues, like it did on Artemis I 4 years ago. However, right now, NASA says it's tracking no issues, Lisa and Ginger, and even NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman, he says for right now, April 1st is a go. Live in Brevard County, I'm your Cape Canaveral community correspondent, James Sparvero, News 6.
Music to a lot of people's ears. Go. Thank you, James. We have full coverage of this historic mission on our website. Follow along on our free News 6 app. Just go to your app store and search News 6.
We are less than an hour away from a key deadline that led to the Supreme Court pausing a man's execution. James Duckett is scheduled to be executed on Tuesday for the 1987 murder of an 11-year-old girl. Duckett is the grandfather of Trenton Duckett, the 2-year-old boy who was reported missing in Leesburg back in 2006 and has never been found. James Duckett was on Florida's death row at the time the toddler disappeared and is not a suspect in that case. Documents
show, Duckett filed a motion for more DNA testing after his death warrant was issued. He claims the testing results would provide newly discovered evidence that he is innocent. The state has to show the status of the testing no later than 5 p.m. today.
We are speaking with the local union for the TSA workers across Central Florida. They are sharing their thoughts about the partial government shutdown and the governor floating the idea of getting rid of TSA altogether and suggesting airlines handle their own security. Your Orange County community correspondent Tylisa Hampton shares what they had to say.
Well, leaders within that union, they say they represent hundreds of TSA workers in Central Florida, but also North Florida. And they say that they have been receiving a number of calls from people who are worried after the governor's comments, but they say they won't be going down without a fight. Across the country, TSA lines have grown with the partial government shutdown.
The whole workforce has been put through the ringer.
TSA officers who are already feeling the financial impact the Central Florida TSA union says are now dealing with yet another blow.
Do you feel like it's a slap in the face? It is. 100%.
Over the weekend, the governor posted on social media questioning the use of TSA and his support for airports and airlines to take over its own security, bringing the conversation back around to private screening contractors, which some airports already have.
You cannot put a price on the safety of the traveling public. Eliminating TSA out of airports would be a mistake.
And in a News 6 poll, we asked you, our viewers, about the matter. One person says each airport should be responsible for their own security. Others writing, it's safe the way it is. Privatizing simply would lead to corruption, and try paying TSA.
Many of us went into the agency right after 9/11 happened. We know what 9/11 means. We don't want 9/11 to happen again.
Mentioning how even if they can't catch everything in screening, they don't take it lightly.
We are learning with every evolution of threats that come our way. We might have not catch the item today, but we learn from it.
After going through the longest government shutdown and now thrust back into a partial one, the local union, which represents around 2,500 workers, says many are still clocking in with a purpose.
We have been very resilient, and we're still here. And even if they try to privatize, we're not going to go away without a fight.
Reporting for News 6, I'm Tylisa Hampton.
All right, now to a live look at stocks after the closing bell. Another brutal day on Wall Street. The Dow has been in the red all day, and it just closed down nearly 800 points. This is all in response to the uncertainty about the duration of the war in Iran and nerves about energy inflation weighing on the markets. The S&P ended down 1.7%. The Nasdaq also ending down more than 2% on the day.
A new truck stop could land just east of I-4, but neighbors are pushing back.
Coming up, why they say they do not want semis in their community and their concerns about traffic and flooding. Plus,
after working full-time 9 to 5, one group of women comes to a second job, one that combines athleticism, community, and more importantly, shattering stereotypes. I'm News 6 anchor Lauren Melendez, and coming up, I'm going to take you inside an Ocala roller derby's practice, celebrating Women's History Month.
You're watching News 6 at 4 as we take a live look at our camera in Daytona Beach. We'll be right back.
After their full-time 9-to-5s, one group of women packs up and heads to another job, one that combines athleticism, community, and more importantly, shattering stereotypes. I'm News 6 anchor Lauren Melendez with a look inside one Ocala Roller Derby's league celebrating Women's History Month. This was never about changing the way people perceive women.
I have tattoos and I wear glasses. Everyone really embraces who you are and come as you are.
All right, let's slide up on the jammer line.
In fact, it's all about them.
You could be the tough one, you could be the sexy one, you could be the smart one. All right, go ahead.
But as roller derbies evolved into a sanctioned sport with rules in the past 30 years,
coming in for the offense, go take the inside.
It's legitimized the duality of women athletes and in all phases of life.
You could be any age. You could be any size. You can be underweight or overweight. The sport celebrates all different types of, tools that you have as an athlete. Awesome. One more lap.
On a Tuesday evening, it's a different kind of girls' night. After being a medical educator and a mom all day, Talia Levon-Bender transforms into Madam Battle Axe at practice.
And water! It gives you the opportunity to get any aggressions out.
And not because she's running away from anything, but toward a better version of herself.
It's a total full body workout. There's never a time when you don't come out here and sweat.
Ocala Brick City Rollers, like other female roller derby leagues, create community for women who build some of the most unlikely bonds.
This is all about, uplifting each other. We help each other when we're down.
Give me every gift that I have today, from incredible friendships to I have so much health and strength physically.
While balancing the grit and pain of full contact and the femininity of a full face. In their quest to outscore opponents by using a human jammer to force through a group of blockers.
And make that hole for
Women's roller derby has managed to shatter the expectations of ladylike behavior, reclaiming space on their own terms.
And that's the end of the jam.
In Ocala, Lauren Melendez, News 6.
Kudos to them.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. I've actually been to one of those before.
Keyword been to one and watching.
I was
not
observer.
in one.
Yes.
Yeah, good for those ladies. All right, meteorologist Julie Rotten joins us now with a look. We are getting ready for the weekend. You got some weather headlines going on.
Yeah, and we're not talking about a washout this weekend. In fact, I think you should be in great shape for your outdoor plans for the first part of the day tomorrow. But we are tracking a front that moves into our area tomorrow morning. But behind that, we see those winds pick up. We're talking about gusts at times around 30 to 40 miles per hour, mainly tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. And we'll be tracking a few fast moving showers, mainly behind that front. But again, as far as beach and boating conditions this weekend, we actually have a gale warning posted, as well as high surf advisories and small craft advisories in place as well. Again, all thanks to this front that is now working into the southern United States. Right now, high pressure is our dominant weather maker. And so we have seen a lot of sunshine out there today. Really been a pretty nice day. Here's how it looks as we go in a little bit closer on the radar. We have enough dry air in place. The activity's been very limited for us today. We can't rule out maybe a stray shower as we head through the rest of the evening hours. You'll see them modeling on the clouds and rain forecast, popping a few showers across our western counties by 7, 8 o'clock. But again, any showers will be fairly isolated for us. Now watch what happens overnight. That's when our front moves in. And by 8 o'clock Saturday morning, this will be across our southern counties, pushing to the south. And then notice behind it those blue arrows. Those are the winds coming in out of the north and northeast. And notice how tightly packed these arrows are. That indicates that we're talking about strong winds. And as those strong winds go over the Atlantic, picking up on enough moisture that we'll be tracking a few showers, especially Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, and perhaps for the first part of the day on Sunday. But again, what we'll really notice by tomorrow afternoon will be those wind gusts. 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, we're talking about 31 mile per hour wind gusts in the Villages, 33 mile per hour gusts in Daytona Beach, and the winds remain elevated as we head into the evening hours, even still at 10 o'clock, talking about gusts between 30 and 35 miles per hour. And I think it will stay pretty windy into the first part of the day Sunday as well. Here's what it looks like right now as we are heading into your Friday night. This is our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Together camera over downtown Orlando with a mix of sun and clouds. 84 degrees right now. If you are in the Villages, you're actually closing in on 90. You're at 88 degrees. 85 in Leesburg, 85 in Claremont, and you're sitting at 75 right now in Cocoa Beach. Now, here's your hour-by-hour forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Renewal. by Anderson.
Okay, I like when you include yourself in the pet photos. That's nice too. So this is Mifa. I hope I pronounce it right. She is the rescue beagle featuring the bunny ears and her human Sydney. And so they are having a great time there. Make sure you go to clickorlando.com/pins to share your pet photos. And like I said, it's fun when you put yourself in them. 80 degrees at 7 o'clock, 78 degrees at 8 o'clock. Now, as we head through the evening and overnight hours, again, we can't rule out an isolated shower or two. 65 for our overnight low tonight. We'll keep skies partly cloudy with light southeast winds. We could see a little bit of patchy fog toward morning. Here's how it looks as we roll you through your weekend and into next week. So low 80s for our high tomorrow with rain chances at 30%. Again, as we move that front through, the winds really pick up Saturday afternoon into Sunday. Sunday behind that front cooler, 74 for your high. And then we climb back into the low 80s by Tuesday. And this time next week, we are back in the upper 80s.
All right, Julie, thank you. A new federal lawsuit is now targeting SeaWorld.
Yeah, it's all over a ban on walkers with seats. We're hearing from a woman who says she was turned away at the gate and why the theme park says the ban is about safety. A live look now at downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. You're watching News 6 on a Friday. We'll be right back.
SeaWorld is facing another lawsuit. This time, the Department of Justice is suing the theme park's parent company, accusing it of violating the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Yeah, now this is all in response to a ban on walkers with seats. News 6's Amy Russo spoke with a woman who says she was turned away.
This lawsuit could be life-changing for people like Nancy Schwartz. She hopes that with it on the table, one day she'll be able to go to SeaWorld again without feeling uncomfortable.
When SeaWorld turned away your rollator, did you feel that that was a violation of your rights?
Absolutely. ADA is very specific that you need to be allowed the medical device that you need to live a normal as can be life. And without that, I can't live the life that I want to live.
Going to SeaWorld isn't what it once used to be for Nancy Schwartz. Ever since their parent company, United Parks and Resorts, Inc., or UPR, banned rollators with seats in November. She says it's more of a hassle to go than a joy.
We still go, but I don't feel comfortable there. I worry about falling. I come home and my neck and back hurt.
According to SeaWorld's website, despite reminders and previous steps, including requiring signed waivers, we continue to see misuse and safety-related incidents. For these reasons, rollators with seats are not permitted. We posted this story on our social media and found that Nancy isn't the only person who's upset at this move. In fact, one woman commented saying her husband had to give up his pass because he needs a rollator due to a back issue. This prompted the Justice Department to sue UPR, claiming it violates Title III of the Americans with Disabilities Act and seeks a court order to force UPR to stop discriminating against individuals with disabilities. In response to the suit, UPR released this statement saying in part, United Parks and Resorts disagrees with the claims asserted in the Department of Justice's complaint and will respond through the legal process. We offer alternative mobility devices at no cost to ensure guests can fully enjoy our parks. We believe our approach is consistent with the requirements of the ADA and reflects our commitment to providing a safe and inclusive experience. Other types of walkers that do not have a seat are permitted, and SeaWorld will even provide one to guests who need one. But Nancy says many of these devices are customized to the person who uses them, and a generic one isn't the same.
If I offered you a pair of my size 5.5, 2-inch heels and said, all shoes are the same, can you wear these? The answer is probably not. They're not all the same, they're different.
We'll have this full lawsuit on our website, clickorlando.com. In Orlando, Amy Russo, News 6.
And just 2 weeks ago, we told you how the parent company of Sesame Street is suing SeaWorld Parks and Entertainment. Sesame Workshop claims SeaWorld failed to pay millions of dollars in royalties in 2022 for the Sesame Place theme park in the Philadelphia area, which is run by SeaWorld. According to the lawsuit, Sesame Workshop does not just want money. It wants to end its nearly 50-year deal with SeaWorld altogether. SeaWorld has responded to the lawsuit. Leaders say they are aware of it and look forward to setting the record straight in court. A man convicted in a road rage murder will spend the next 50 years in prison.
Coming up, the state attorney's warning every driver should hear.
Now, several people living near downtown Orlando are going to see more cones and construction coming their way now that the OUC has approved a $274 million project. We'll tell you more coming up.
As we take a live look over Port Canaveral, you're watching News 6. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. We're following several top stories right now.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office is releasing body camera video showing the moments first responders arrived to the Stardust Racers roller coaster at Epic Universe last year. They got a call about a man being unresponsive on the ride. First responders tried performing CPR on Kevin Rodriguez Zavala before taking him away on a stretcher. He later died at the hospital. According to the medical examiner, his cause of death was multiple blunt impact injuries. We are just 30 minutes away from a key deadline that led to the Supreme Court pausing a man's execution. James Duckett is scheduled to be executed on Tuesday for the 1987 murder of an 11-year-old girl. Documents show he filed a motion for more DNA testing after his death warrant was issued. He claims the testing results would provide newly discovered evidence that he is innocent. The state has to show the status of the testing no later than 5 p.m. The Artemis II astronauts are now at the Kennedy Space Center. They arrived this afternoon ahead of their potential launch as early as Wednesday. Their 10-day mission will take them around the dark side of the moon and back. If the launch happens on Wednesday, the window would open at 6:24 p.m.
A man convicted of killing a father of 3 in a road rage shooting will spend the next 50 years in prison. A jury found the 30-year-old guilty of first-degree murder earlier today. News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez was in the courtroom when he learned just how long he'll spend behind bars.
6 years after Nail Abraham killed 45-year-old Eric Schnetzer, he learned his fate.
As it relates to count 1, second-degree murder with a firearm, the court will sentence Mr. Abraham to 50 years in prison, with credit for time served of 2,045 days. The court will grant the defense's motion to dismiss count 2, third-degree murder, felony murder with a firearm.
Last year, Abraham was found guilty of shooting the nurse and father of 3 in the head in July of 2020. Evidence at trial showed the encounter between the two began on the turnpike. Abraham then followed Schnetzer to Orange Blossom Trail, pulled up next to him at an intersection, shot him, and drove away. The judge handed down that 50-year sentence with no explanation. Abraham's attorney tells us that he and Abraham's family were hoping for the minimum sentence of 25 years.
I was disappointed because I didn't feel like there was any aggravating circumstances in this case, and the mandatory minimum was more than adequate.
State Attorney Monique Worrell says this outcome is an example of her office's commitment to being tough on road rage.
We will continue to monitor and aggressively ensure accountability for road rage cases, particularly when the result is a community member being killed.
Schnetzer's widow feels justice was served and implored drivers to think twice before escalating a road rage situation because it's not worth what you can lose.
Be safe and live life, and it's always cherish those memories, you know. And like I've been saying since day one, you just never know till it happens to you. So, but yeah, it's a relief today. So.
In Orange County, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Another Orange County case also came to a close this morning. A judge accepted a guilty plea for Patrick Lutz. He's accused of killing 2 teenagers in a drunk driving crash on Christmas Day in 1998. He was arrested in Toronto last year. Lutz was sentenced to 13 years with time served for about a year. He also faces probation after his sentence.
We are working to learn more about a house fire that forced 2 people out of their homes. Firefighters say it happened overnight on Warrens Avenue near Kennedy Boulevard and I-4. That's on Maitland's west side near the border with Eatonville. Firefighters say when they got to the scene, they saw heavy flames and smoke inside the single-story home. They say the 2 people living there got out before they arrived, but they were not hurt. Firefighters were able to put out the fire, but you can see that house sustained some heavy damage.
New details of another alarming moment in the sky. A commercial jet came close to an Army helicopter in California. Chris Van Cleve has the story.
That was not good.
That's air traffic controllers at John Wayne Airport outside Los Angeles reacting to a potential close call between a California Air National Guard Black Hawk helicopter and a United Airlines flight on final approach to land. Flight 589 with 168 aboard was coming from San Francisco Tuesday night.
We had a resolution advisory for United 589 RA.
The apparent close call comes after the FAA tightened rules for helicopters operating around airports just last week, and in the wake of last year's deadly mid-air collision between a Black Hawk helicopter and a regional jet. And just like that incident, Tuesday's close call involved a Black Hawk conducting a routine nighttime training mission. But this time, controllers and the pilots were tracking the chopper when the 737's collision avoidance system alerted, telling the pilots to stop their descent and level off. Preliminary flight data has the two aircraft about 525 feet apart vertically and approximately 1,400 feet laterally, a little over a quarter of a mile at their closest point.
This is closer than we would like for airplanes and helicopters to be. However, it does show that the system worked as intended in light of the fact that something was not right.
The California Air Guard is pledging a thorough review. The FAA is investigating all of this happening as lawmakers in Washington are still considering potential aviation safety reforms stemming from that deadly mid-air collision last year. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Phoenix.
Well, if it feels like you're always hitting a detour just trying to get home, you're not alone. For some people living in Orlando, construction has become a part of their daily routine. And now a multi-million-dollar power project by the Orlando Utilities Commission could keep those delays coming for many years. Your Orange County community correspondent Jarrell Baker explains why.
For a decade, Jules Botticello and her husband have seen construction like this, as well as signs of road closures and detours near Fern Creek Avenue, and it seems like it's never ending.
It's an older neighborhood, so seeing the upgrades is welcomed, but some of the noise and the extra traffic and, fast cars driving through can definitely be disruptive.
A little bit disruptive. And for Chris Merziak, it feels like construction pops up randomly all the time.
Every day now we have new stuff going on, so it's just a constant, well, which way can I go today? Which way can I go? And then can I even get out of my driveway some days?
And while those projects are underway, a new project is set to begin soon. The Orlando Utilities Commission is planning to roll out a $247 million project, which means even more construction along Fern Creek Avenue. Now, a big part of the OUC's plan is to run a new high voltage line from their Persian substation near downtown to a new substation they plan to create here near the Lake Ivanhoe and the Lake Highland area, all to prevent straining the grid like we saw during February's freeze.
Truthfully, infrastructure underground is easier to work with because then you don't need a boom truck to get to everything. So I'm good and I'm happy that that's happening.
But what residents aren't so happy about is the project includes years of road closures and detours and is set to last until 2029.
It's a lot on residents around here where we don't know what's going to be closed when and for how long.
The street work is set to start early next year for Fern Creek Avenue, then move near Crystal Lake Drive and Curry Ford Road afterwards. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Jarrell Baker.
Well, it may still be March, but already you can start planning to go to Universal's Halloween Horror Nights. Tickets are on sale right now, and it's a big year for the event because it is celebrating its 35th year. Earlier this week, we told you about the Halloween Horror Nights reveal at MegaCon. This year's theme is Infernal Carnival of Nightmares, aka Icon. And two of the biggest icons are returning, Jack the Clown and Dr. Oddfellow. They will have their own house as well, representing chaos and control. The event is set to take place on select nights, August 28th through November 1st. As for prices, that all depends on what day you go. They range from $88 all the way to $130 a person. Remember, you can get the latest theme park news sent right to your email. Sign up for the In the Loop Theme Park Scoops newsletter at clickorlando.com/newsletters.
Families feared lights, noise, and late night traffic.
Now, a local city is denying a new gas station from going into their community. What changed minds inside City Hall? Coming up.
A proposed truck stop is creating a big stir for residents here in the DeLand area of Volusia County. I'm Molly Reed. Coming up, we'll tell you where it's being proposed and what happens next.
Right now, we're sitting at 84 degrees in Orlando, but we are tracking a cold front behind that 59 in Nashville. What this front means for your weekend forecast in minutes.
And as we head to break, we want to remind you to check out our prime time schedule on News 6 Plus. We have a new take on the day's news on News 6 tonight. That's at 9. Go in depth as we answer your weather questions at 9:30. Then watch the late news an hour early. It's all tonight on News 6 Plus. Download our streaming app for free. Search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also available on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
I'm Molly Reed, your Volusia County community correspondent. A proposed truck stop is getting some pushback from residents here in the DeLand area. Now, this truck stop travel plaza would be just off State Route 44 here near the old Budget Inn in BP here just outside of DeLand. We're told that it would have a restaurant, convenience store, restrooms, places for truck drivers to stop and take a break. Now, we couldn't get an answer just yet on how many specific spots there would be for semi-trucks, but we're told there would be several dozens of those and even more for cars.
In the morning going toward I-4, in the evening coming from I-4, it's backed up for potentially a mile.
That's before adding dozens of semi-trucks.
In the last 2 weeks, there have been 4 major traffic incidents in this area.
Folks who live by the proposed plaza, especially in this 55 up community next door, have several concerns. Noise and traffic in the area are just 2 of them.
The prevailing winds are going to blow right over this neighborhood, so if you've got trucks idling, all the diesel exhaust is going to come right our way. You've got light pollution. They're talking about putting signage up so that it's visible from I-4.
Now, the state has said there is a truck stop shortage throughout Central Florida. FDOT actually has plans to build 2 just east of here off of I-4 with construction beginning this summer.
I don't understand why they have to choose this spot to put another one in there.
The land for the proposed plaza is in unincorporated Volusia County, but borders DeLand. The city actually sent the county a letter opposing the project, too.
I don't want to be somebody that says, not in my backyard. That's selfish, and I don't want to be like that. There is a need for a truck stop, but I believe they could find a better location.
Now, county spokesperson told me that the company behind the truck plaza has submitted an application to the county that is currently under staff review. From there, it'll go to a Volusia County Planning Committee for a vote, then to the county council. I'm your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Breed, News 6.
All right, we want to check in now with meteorologist Julie Broughton, who is standing by with what we can expect. We got some changes on the way this weekend, Julie.
Yes, and of course, everyone likes to make their weekend plans. We're not talking about a washout by any stretch this weekend. In fact, I think tomorrow morning actually will be really nice for us. But by tomorrow afternoon, thanks to a cold front, the winds will really pick up. And we're talking about the potential of gusts around 25 to 35 miles per hour lasting into tomorrow evening and even the first part of the day on Sunday. And then behind that front on Sunday, we'll see a cool down with our highs reaching only in the low to mid 70s. Here's what's happening for us right now. This is a look at our water vapor imagery. It shows us what's going on as far as moisture levels in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. And where we see all that orange, that's where we're pretty dry. So we've really seen limited showers today. Here is our front that's going to move in during the first part of the day tomorrow. And notice the temperatures out ahead of this. We're talking about 87 in Jacksonville, 84 in Tampa and Orlando. But behind this, 59 in Nashville and 61 in Little Rock. So there's definitely some cooler air behind this. And this will be arriving in Central Florida by Sunday. I mean, we're not talking about cold weather, but we'll be about 10 degrees cooler than we are right now. Here's a look at the radar for us scanning out, not really finding much to track. Seeing our west coast sea breeze right there. So we could pop a few isolated showers over the next couple of hours as those sea breeze boundaries continue to work inland. Clouds on radar showing by 7 o'clock. We could be talking about some light showers across our western counties. Then overnight, again, a little bit patchy fog is possible. Our front comes through Central Florida very early tomorrow. Notice it comes through initially with no rain, really. So we should see dry conditions tomorrow morning. The big story will be the winds beginning to pick up by around noon tomorrow. And with those strong winds coming in out of the northeast, that will pick up on moisture out over the Atlantic, and that will translate into some showers. Now look at the wind gusts as we head through the afternoon hours. So I've stopped the clock for you here at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. We are looking at the potential of winds gusting to 34 miles per hour if you're in the Villages, 33 miles per hour in Leesburg, and 26 in Cocoa Beach. And we do have wind advisories posted as well as a gale warning tomorrow for our offshore waters. Look how pretty it is right now for our Friday evening, though. Our Launch Credit Union camera out at Port Canaveral showing sunny skies and no data coming in, but you're generally in the low 80s along the coast. 88 right now in Orlando, and you are 88 in Leesburg. Your hour-by-hour forecast keeping us in the low 80s for the next couple of hours. This is Lily. Her mom or dad who pinned her said she acts like a teenager, and I have a teenager, so I can kind of tell by that picture that's true. Head to clickorlando.com/pins to show us your pet photos. 80 degrees at 7 o'clock, 78 degrees at 8 o'clock. Overnight tonight, again, we'll see some clouds moving in along with that front. 65 overnight tonight in Orlando, 60 in Ocala, and you go to 66 in Cocoa Beach. 7-day forecast showing 30% chance of showers tomorrow and Sunday. Absolutely not a washout. The big story will be those winds tomorrow afternoon into the first part of the day on Sunday. By Sunday, we see a high only of 74, but begin a gradual warm-up as we head to next week. In fact, again, next Friday, we will be closing in on 90.
Wow. All right, Julie, thank you. Open your camera app, scan the QR code you see right there on your screen, and click the link. We want to see your weather pictures and videos, and they could end up right here on TV. You can also go to clickorlando.com/pins and upload your pictures and videos that way.
Now to a big win for a local community.
They bought into this quiet neighborhood and said plans to build a gas station right outside would have changed everything.
You know, the traffic would have been a nightmare.
We're following up with the neighbors who first reached out to News 6 and got the city commission to listen.
Coming up on Monday, hundreds of homeowners facing a big hike in fees. The city that says it needs to raise rates and what it could mean for your wallet. Plus, cutting the ribbon on a brand new road. The fast-growing area set to see some traffic relief. We'll see you Monday for News 6 Morning, starting at 6.
The sign is still here, but plans to build a 7-Eleven near Parkview Place have been denied. I'm Catherine Silver, your Sanford community correspondent. This is where that gas station and convenience store would have been built. On the ground, you can see the trees. There's a better perspective from above. Look at how close the houses are next to Skyway Drive and Lake Mary Boulevard.
Our kids are, rollerblading, scootering, biking together, and it just really feels like a true safe community.
These are homes with families like Mandy Martin's, who bought into this neighborhood. She says a 24/7 run 7-Eleven would have changed everything for them.
Our neighbors would have had intense light pollution coming in their bedroom windows, and the traffic would have been a nightmare.
Our News 6 team first visited this community in early March when a group of neighbors contacted our News 6 neighborhood network.
This is the last thing that I would want developed right next to my home.
They shared their concerns with us and the city commission.
And they listened. They did. What do you think made the difference? I think our community coming together.
The decision made at this week's meeting, commissioners describe as a difficult one.
This is a hard one to me because, this is designed for mixed use.
They say they had to vote solely based on compatibility with Sanford's comprehensive plan.
A 24-hour operation, noise, light pollution, fuel deliveries, car doors, music, late night activity. I'm not seeing compatibility there.
The denial was unanimous.
I don't know if we would have been able to replace this community in this neighborhood. This is kind of our dream, idyllic neighborhood that we've been looking to find.
And you believe you preserved that?
I do, yes.
Well, we're glad that you reached out to News 6.
Yes, thank you so much.
In Sanford, Catherine Silver, News 6.
Again, someone reached out to the News 6 Neighborhood Network about the gas station plans and wanted us to bring some attention to it. So how can News 6 help you? Go to the News 6 app or clickorlando.com and click Contact Us and let us know how we can help.
Very nice.
All right, we want to give a shout out today to this lady.
What?
This morning, she was recognized as Orange County Public Schools Heart of Gold Volunteer of the Year. Round of applause for
thank
you.
And this was really special, too. The Crystal Award ceremony was held at the Nautilus Theater at SeaWorld this morning. And I was recognized, fortunate enough to be recognized by the OCPS Foundation, along with dozens of others who spend countless hours volunteering at OCPS schools. Look at that award. It is beautiful. There was some kids who made the base of that, but the top is really crystal, hence Crystal Awards. So they tell me I've been showing up and volunteering for more than 10 years, and as long as they keep asking, I will keep showing up because those teachers and staff members deserve every bit of our support.
Well,
in the
very
community.
well deserved
Thank you.
award for
I
you
love it.
too. Yeah, and it's cool that the kids helped make that award.
I
too.
know, that's what makes it even
special.
more special. All right, News 6 at 5 is next.
Anchor Matt Austin is in the newsroom with what's ahead.
Congrats, Ginger. You are pretty amazing. I agree with them. Well, we are following some breaking news out of Jupiter Island, where legend Tiger Woods was involved in a car accident. We are expecting to hear from officials shortly on that. And an Orange County judge facing a public reprimand for 2 separate violations of conduct. We have his comments coming up.
A mission that's more complicated and more dangerous by adding crew. But there's also mission objectives which NASA says will help them land astronauts on the moon. I'll tell you what makes Artemis II so important.
streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 5.
We are following breaking news out of southeast Florida. Any moment now, the Martin County Sheriff is expected to give an update on a crash that our news partners in West Palm Beach say involves Tiger Woods. You can see they are preparing for that press conference right now. They're doing what's called a white balance in the television industry, holding up a white piece of paper so that all of the colors are correct on the camera there. As soon as the sheriff begins speaking, we do plan to bring you his comments. It looks like he's walking up right now. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Are we good? Well, good evening, and thank you for being here. I'm going to give you a rundown on a crash that happened a few hours ago here on Jupiter Island, and I really will tell you everything that I know at this time. So just before 2 p.m. today, the Jupiter Island Police Department, which is where we currently are, received a call of a rollover crash about 2.5 miles from where we are. The Jupiter Island Police Department responded out there and found a pickup truck pulling a pressure cleaner trailer and a Land Rover which was rolled over on the driver's door, and we're going to provide you photos of that. The investigation started, and initially right off the top it did appear that the driver of the Land Rover might be impaired, and at that point the Chief Ewing of Jupiter Island Police Department called me from the Martin County Sheriff's Office and asked for our assistance. It wasn't that the Jupiter Island Police Department isn't fully capable of doing these types of investigations, but quite frankly, the Sheriff's Office has a lot more repetitions in these traffic crashes and these types of investigations. Our investigation revealed as follows. Shortly again before 2, the pressure cleaner truck pulling a trailer, a small trailer, was northbound on South Beach Road and was pulling kind of to turn into a driveway. It was slowing down, starting to turn into a driveway, and the driver of that vehicle looked in his mirror and saw a Land Rover, a dark-colored Land Rover, overtaking him at high speeds, and I don't know those speeds. The Land Rover kept overtaking him. He saw it coming, so he tried to edge off to the side of the road, but this is a small 2-lane road, and there was no shoulder for this pressure cleaner gentleman to get off the side of the road. As he was trying to move to the side of the road, the Land Rover overtook him at the last minute, swerved to avoid a collision, but clipped the back end of the trailer of the pressure cleaner apparatus, listed to the side, and then rolled on the driver's door north past the truck that had just avoided the crash with. The individual driving that Land Rover was able to crawl out the passenger door of the car and was identified to be Mr. Tiger Woods. Our DUI investigators came to the scene here, and Mr. Woods did exemplify signs of impairment. They did several tests on him. Of course, he did explain the injuries and the surgeries that he had. We did take that into account. But they did do some in-depth roadside tests, and when it was determined, he was placed under arrest and taken to the Martin County Jail. At the Martin County Jail, and even on scene, we really weren't suspicious of alcohol being involved in this case, and that proved to be true at the jail. So Mr. Woods did a breathalyzer test, blew 000s, but when it came time for us to ask for a urinalysis test, he refused, and so he's been charged with DUI, with property damage, and refusal to submit to a lawful test. In the crash, no one was injured. Mr. Woods did not seem to be injured at all, and the other gentlemen were not injured, but this happened a few hours ago, so I've given you the information that I have right here, right now. So with that, let me kick it to you for questions. I'll answer what I can answer.
Just to be clear, they're both going in the same direction. Tiger was coming up behind the guy in the pickup with the pressure cleaner?
So the question is, were they both going the same direction? Yes. Both of them were in the 280 block of South Beach Road driving northbound. The truck pulling a trailer was trying to slow down and pull over, and Mr. Woods was overtaking him at a high rate of speed before he clipped the back end and rolled his vehicle over on the driver's door.
How many times did he roll over?
So the question is, how many times did he roll over? The answer is he didn't roll completely over. The truck rolled to the driver's door and then just slid northbound up the road. And again, we'll provide you some photos of that.
I know you said you don't know the exact speed, but you said high rate of speed twice now. Is there a way just to give us a general idea of how fast? You mentioned before, it's a 2-lane road. You can't drive very fast on that road.
So the question is, can I give you a general idea of how fast? And the answer is I can't, but I can tell you this, it's a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit. And when I show you the photos, they kind of speak for themselves. You can see where he clipped the back of the trailer, you can see where he rolled, and then as he decelerates, sliding down on the driver's door of the vehicle, you can see that he slid for a pretty decent a space before he came to a stop. Yes, sir.
Was he cooperative as far as what his schedule was today? What was he doing? Was he did he speak to you guys what his activities were today?
So the question was he cooperative with us? The answer was he is cooperative, but he was not trying to incriminate himself. So he was careful in what he said and didn't say. And when it came time again for the test, the urine test at the jail, he stopped that. Let me go back to one thing. There is a Florida state statute that requires us to keep people incarcerated for at least 8 hours post a DUI arrest. So he's in our jail. He will be there for at least 8 hours from 3 o'clock for at least 8 hours, and then he'll be released on bond if he posts bond.
Thank you.
Injuries to the driver who was pulling that pressure washer.
So the question is injuries to the driver pulling the pressure washer. The answer is no injuries to him. He was fine, thankfully.
You said that breathalyzer came out with zeros. It was the urine test that you denied, correct?
The question is breathalyzer was 0 and it's a urine test. The answer is yes. So on scene, we had DRE experts evaluating him, and they believed from on scene that he was not impaired on alcohol. They believed it was some type of medication or drug. And again, at the jail, he cooperated with the urine, he cooperated with the breathalyzer, and then the urine he wanted no part of.
Is there going to be any testing afterwards? What's the procedure with that to verify if he was under something?
So the question, will there be any follow-up testing? The answer is no. He has a right to refuse that test. There is a Florida statute which he will be charged with for refusing to take that test, but we will never get definitive results as to what he was impaired on at the time of the crash.
Is that also a felony, refusing to take the test?
The question is it a felony? The answer is no. Both charges are misdemeanor charges.
Is he being given preferential treatment in the jail because of who he is?
The question is he getting preferential treatment in the jail because of who he is? Let me go back to the simplicity of this. We're the sheriff's office. We know we arrested a high-profile figure. I'm not trying to dramatize, but it doesn't matter who you are. If you break the law, we're going to follow the law. That's a really easy path to take. Now, as far as being in the jail, we're going to make sure he's safe. We're not going to put him in general population. He's not going to be with other inmates that could hurt him or try to capitalize on what he did. He'll pay the price, but he's not going to pay the price by getting punished in jail.
Was there any drugs or medication or alcohol found in the car?
The question is, was there any drugs or medication in the car? The answer is no, there was not.
Was he injured?
The question is, was he injured? And the answer is no, he was not injured. Again, he was lethargic on scene, but that, we believe, was because of what he was intoxicated on.
Was anyone else in the car with him?
The question is, anyone else in the car? The answer is no, he was alone in the car.
And was he wearing a seatbelt?
The question is, was he wearing a seatbelt? And the answer is, I don't know. I'm not sure. We know he crawled out of the passenger door prior to law enforcement arriving. We can determine that based on looking at the car. I just don't know the answer.
Anyone else injured in the area because of the crash or the rollover?
The question is, anyone else injured because of the rollover crash? And the answer is, thankfully, no. This is a small 2-lane road. Again, I'm going to show you the photos. Had there been somebody moving in the opposite direction, we would not be having a conversation saying there was no injuries. This could have been a lot worse. Is that all?
Sheriff, thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
All right, there you have it. The Martin County Sheriff in Southeast Florida detailing a crash involving Tiger Woods that happened around 2 o'clock this afternoon. The good news, no one was injured in this, but Tiger Woods is now in jail charged with DUI after refusing to give a urine sample after that crash.
Obviously, Tiger Woods has had a few high-profile crashes in the past, including one right here in Windermere. Back in, I believe, 2009, there was another one years later near Jupiter Island there, in which there was some dash cam video that showed him appearing to slur his speech as well. So there's a history of drama with Tiger Woods on the road. And again, he was just charged with a DUI, refused to give that urine sample so that they could figure out. They said it did not appear to be alcohol in this case. The officers on scene assumed that it was maybe some sort of drugs or prescription pills that he was suffering from, but he hit the trailer of a truck that was pulling into a driveway there on Jupiter Island. Jupiter Island, by the way, one of the ritziest places you can live in America. down there in Jupiter, Florida.
Yeah, despite that, the sheriff saying Tiger Woods is not getting any sort of preferential treatment. He sounds like being kept alone inside the jail, but he will be inside that jail for 8 hours, which is what's required by law. So he could potentially get out at 8 o'clock tonight, the sheriff saying, if he postpones.
Yeah, there will be a lot of cameras waiting for him when he does. All right, moving on now. At any moment, we could be getting a big update about DNA testing to put an execution on hold. The Florida Supreme Court has temporarily stopped next week's execution of James Duckett.
Now, Duckett is a former mascot police officer who was sentenced to death for raping and murdering an 11-year-old girl back in 1987. Duckett has asked for DNA testing, which he says will prove his innocence.
Let's get right out to News 6 investigator Mike DeForest with the latest developments. So, Mike, what are you learning?
Matt, literally 1 minute ago, I was able to get these documents from the Florida Supreme Court website with this update. I just want to back you up before I explain the significance of this. It was about 2 weeks ago, with his scheduled execution quickly approaching, that James Duckett convinced a judge to allow a piece of evidence from the murder case to be tested for DNA. Well, yesterday, the Florida Supreme Court issued a stay of execution until that DNA testing was complete. The Supreme Court ordered Florida's Attorney General to provide an update on that DNA testing by 5 o'clock today. That update's just come down. Let me read it for you here. Basically, the Florida Attorney General saying that the DNA test results requested by James Duckett were, quote, inconclusive. Because they were inconclusive, the DNA testing is complete. The Attorney General says the results do not exonerate James Duckett, and they are asking the Supreme Court to lift the stay of execution. Let's take a look at some video here. James Duckett, who has been on Florida's death row for nearly 4 decades, was scheduled to die by lethal injection this coming Tuesday. But as we mentioned, the Florida Supreme Court put that execution on hold, at least for now. A Lake County jury convicted the former mascot police officer of raping and murdering 11-year-old Teresa Maccabee back in 1987. Now, earlier this month, a judge granted Duckett's request to conduct DNA testing on a swab that was taken from the victim's underwear. Now, Duckett said that DNA testing would prove his innocence, but based on this report that just came in from Florida's Attorney General, it does not prove his innocence. It doesn't prove anything because the Attorney General says that DNA test was inconclusive. Keep in mind, this evidence was from decades ago, and all sides agreed it was going to be extremely difficult to test. But now, Attorney General saying it's inconclusive. There's still nothing exonerating Duckett, nothing showing that he did not murder this girl back in 1987. And now, at this moment, the Attorney General wants the Florida Supreme Court to put that execution back on, presumably for this coming Tuesday. We'll have a lot more for you on this at 6 o'clock. For now, we are live in the newsroom. Mike DeForest, News 6. Back to you, Matt and Lisa.
All right, Mike, thank you. Also happening right now, people forced out of their homes at the Pebble Creek apartments are now starting to receive relief funds. This comes as Seminole County says there are 112 violations across 28 residential buildings at that complex. Your Seminole County community correspondent Alex Cook is live there with the latest. Alex.
That's right, and I'm here in front of the clubhouse right now, and I've seen in the last half hour all these cars pulled up, a bunch of people are coming in looking to get those relief funds that the apartment complex has promised them, and this is all after inspectors found widespread issues across the whole complex. Relief funds are now being distributed here at Pebble Creek Clubhouse to tenants impacted by this crisis. 85 units were evacuated after a fire in late February. County officials say maintenance workers were doing unpermitted repair work on a stairwell. And after firefighters responded, inspectors found broader structural problems. Just hours ago, Seminole County told News 6 there are 112 total violations across 28 residential buildings on the property. That's 4 violations per building. They say that if this case ends up going before a special magistrate for failure to comply, it would be heard as one case with a maximum fine of $1,000 per day. I talked to a man who lived in one of the evacuated apartments earlier as he went back to grab some of his personal belongings. He said he and his mother were moved into another apartment in a different building, but he didn't think the complex has enough empty units to do that for everyone. And as the county confirmed today, every single building here has safety violations anyway. I spoke to another woman who lives on the first floor who says she hasn't been impacted, but
but the building next to hers was completely evacuated. Now, as people begin to show up here for relief funds, the question is how far that help will go and what happens next for the families who still don't know when their lives will return to normal.
And just within the last couple minutes, we did get a new email that Pebble Creek Management sent out to residents that gives us a little more light on the money that they're offering. They say there will be an 8-day prorated rent credit for affected units, and April rent will be waived, and they're also offering food reimbursement, but the residents have to submit receipts to see if their food qualifies to be reimbursed by the complex. But I'll be out here trying to talk to people about if they think this is enough and what exactly they're doing after they were forced out of their apartments. For now, I'm live in Lake Mary. Your Seminole County community correspondent, Alex Cook, News 6.
Alex, thank you. News 6 will be right back. Jonathan?
We're watching the opportunity and likelihood for a lot of wind this weekend. Wind advisory in play, especially for the eastern half of Florida. We'll talk about how strong the wind gets and also tracking some rain chances for the weekend in a few minutes.
Here's a live look at the launch pad that Artemis II mission scheduled to take off in less than a week on April 1st.
This afternoon, the crew that will be on board arrived at the Kennedy Space Center.
So the crew is made up of Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen. They began their quarantine period on March 18th to ensure they stayed healthy leading up to the launch. They will now spend the rest of their time leading up to that launch at Kennedy Space Center. Today, they expressed their appreciation.
Wow, what a welcome. We left a crazy goodbye from just so many people lined the streets. It was a warm embrace on our way leaving home to come here, and then to arrive here and have all of you supporting us on the way in just feels really positive. I got to tell you, I am fired up. My family it's hard to say goodbye. We'll see them again tomorrow, but we're all fired up to go do this.
But people are going to the moon for the first time in more than 50 years, and these will have a lot more than just, these astronauts are going to do a lot more than just kick back and enjoy that view.
Yeah, your Cape Canaveral community correspondent James Sparvero tells us the important jobs both the crew headed to space and some special Kennedy Space Center employees here on Earth have.
Adding people to a flight around the moon obviously makes Artemis II more complicated and more risky, but it also brings new mission objectives, which NASA says will help pave the way towards landing astronauts on the moon. Unlike my recording 4 years ago of the Artemis I launch, when the Space Launch System takes off this time, this rocket will carry its first human cargo. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen, who I've talked to about their excitement,
I'm super excited. It's an extraordinary opportunity.
Will work on experiments to study how deep space affects their bodies and minds.
This is really the first test of that life support system. And so
CBS space expert Bill Harwood is talking about the astronauts' crew capsule, the Orion, which in 2022 only had a mannequin on board.
So when they launch, they spend a full day in Earth orbit just testing Orion to make sure that those systems are all working right before they commit to going all the way to the moon. That's a very big deal.
It's also a big deal, this mission, to be these two, and I thought my job was cool. Taylor Hose and Christian Warner will be some of the last people the astronauts see before they come home about 10 days later. Taylor and Christian talked to me about what it's like to be part of the Artemis closeout crew that straps the crew into Orion. They even dressed like it's launch day.
Specifically for closeout crew, we work with the Artemis II flight crew, getting them into the vehicle, getting the hatches closed on launch day, and making sure that vehicle is ready to fly for the crew.
Do you have a special message on your mind you might say to the crew, since you guys are the last ones who see them before they launch around the moon?
I genuinely think it's just going to come in the moment. We'll just have to see when that time comes.
NASA described how close the crew will be to the moon like if you were to imagine holding a basketball at an arm's length from your face. Their lunar flyby will be their chance, of course, to take pictures of the far side of the moon and the lunar surface, where NASA hopes astronauts will step foot in just another 2 years. In Brevard County, I'm your Cape Canaveral community correspondent, James Sparvero, News 6.
Looks like a nice day out there with James. Let's check in with meteorologist Jonathan Kagas as we close in on this weekend. Could be a little interesting for us.
Yeah, I think so. It's going to look a little different anyway. It's certainly going to feel different. The wind is going to go wild as we get into tomorrow and Sunday, and it's all because of this cold front right here and then this big chunk of high pressure trailing it. That front's going to cross by tomorrow. You'll notice when it crosses because the wind will start to pick up. And you're going to notice a few extra clouds, maybe even a few stray showers in the mix. So here's the timeline on everything. This is going to be early tomorrow, 7 o'clock. That cold front is on our doorstep. And again, the biggest thing I think we're going to notice is the wind. There will be a few gusty showers in the mix, and then also the extra cloud cover. I think we're going to see way more clouds than sunshine this weekend. There we go, late Saturday night into early Sunday morning. Note the white on your screen. Those are the clouds. A few green specks in the mix, too. Those are those stray downpours that, because of the gusty wind off of the Atlantic, will continue to generate some of those showers that originate on the coast and then push inland. That's going to be 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. Note the clouds that are still in play, and the wind will remain cranked up for most of the afternoon as well. Starting the wind timeline here, Saturday, 10 o'clock in the morning, and this is when we really start to feel the effects. Gusts at times from back to Ocala into Palm Coast, Bunnell into that 20-mile-per-hour category. And then it just goes wild into the afternoon. You see wind gusts at times pushing 40 to 45 miles an hour, especially along the coast. When you wake up Sunday morning going to church, there could be a few gusty showers around, but it is going to be windy for everybody. Still 30 to 35 mile-per-hour gusts through the day. Until we get into Monday, I don't see these winds really backing off much through the weekend. Here's a live look outside. Gorgeous out there now. Downtown Orlando with our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Skycam. Air temperatures back to the mid-80s. We're under a mainly clear sky. There's a few extra clouds trying to bubble up around the airport. The wind is variable, changing at times. Not really a persistent wind out there today. That will again change out of the north tomorrow. We're at 81 in Palm Coast right now, 90 in the Villages, 86 in Leesburg. We are at 86 degrees in Kissimmee. Temperatures tomorrow, again, going to struggle a little bit under the cloud cover. We're back to the mid-80s, mid-60s to start the day. We'll turn things back into the mid to upper 80s once we get into tomorrow afternoon. I think we're going to hold things into the lower 70s the further north you are once we get through the day. At the beach, it's not going to be the best beach day, to say the least. We're at 71. Tomorrow afternoon along the coast, water temperatures in the mid-60s. Look at the wave heights, though. By the afternoon, especially the afternoon into the evening, those wave heights are going to start breaking at about 7 to 12 feet. The breeze sustained is going to kick up out of the north-northeast at about 20 to 30 miles an hour, and that's going to lead to gusts again, pushing into the 40 to 45 mile per hour range. We're at 82 tomorrow in Apopka, 71 in Bunnell, 77 degrees in Ormond Beach. And again, the wind starts to go crazy once we get into the early stages of the afternoon. Mid-70s on Sunday, 79 degrees on Monday. Rain chances back to 20% on Monday. Lower 80s return on Tuesday. We'll be right back.
I'm News 6 anchor Louis Bolden. American Airlines is eyeing the possible return of setback screens, and it will soon cost you a little more to stream your favorite Netflix show. Let's get over to Maribel Aber in today's Money Matters. And Maribel, the company is once again raising its rates.
It is, Louis. Netflix is increasing monthly costs across all of its tiers by at least $1. The ad-supported plan rises to $8.99. The standard to $19.99. Premium, that goes to $26.99. The company says the hikes help offset heavy investments in content, live events, and video podcasts. The streamer's first quarter report forecast a spend of $20 billion on new content by year's end. Executives say that investment supports raising prices. It last boosted rates in January of last year. The higher prices start immediately for new groups and roll out to existing members in the coming weeks. Louis, look for bundle deals. Your phone or other subscriptions may already include Netflix.
Good to know, Maribel. And American Airlines is looking to change up their in-flight entertainment. What's going on there?
So American Airlines reportedly in talks with SpaceX and Amazon to upgrade in-flight entertainment. A number of media outlets cite sources familiar with the plans. Potential changes include the return of seatback screens on certain jet models and enhanced Wi-Fi. There may also be access to Amazon Prime movies, music, and shopping with the ability to pay using air miles. American is looking to better compete with rivals like Delta with upgraded cabins and premium perks. When asked for a comment, Amazon declined and SpaceX didn't immediately respond. But Lewis, legroom, assigned space for my carry-on. I'll bring my snacks and my tunes. You know it.
I'm down for it. Maribel, thank you so much. And remember, to get the latest money and consumer news anytime, just head to clickorlando.com.
Glad you're with us. I'm Lisa Bell.
I'm Matt Austin. You're watching News 6 at 5. We're following several top stories for you right now.
Golf legend Tiger Woods has been arrested after a rollover crash in South Florida. The Martin County Sheriff says he is charged with DUI. The sheriff says Woods' breathalyzer test registered zeros, but he refused to take a urine test. The crash happened just after 2 this afternoon in Jupiter Island, where Woods has lived for years. He was not injured.
Neighbors at the evacuated Seminole County apartment complex are now getting checks to help put a temporary roof over their heads. Meanwhile, Seminole County tells us each of those 28 buildings at Pebble Creek at Lake Mary Apartments has 4 violations, totaling 112 for the entire property. 85 units at the complex have been evacuated due to structural concerns. The Artemis II crew arrived at Kennedy Space Center at Cape Canaveral today. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen began their quarantine period on March 18th to ensure they stayed healthy leading up to the launch. They will now spend the rest of their time leading up to that big launch at the Kennedy Space Center. Launch is scheduled for Wednesday evening.
A deal to end the 42-day DHS shutdown appears dead. This morning, the Senate unanimously passed a compromise to fund all of DHS except for ICE and border protection. However, House Speaker Mike Johnson says it will not get a vote in the House.
There was overwhelming support expressed to pass this bipartisan bill today so we could pay TSA agents, stop inconveniencing millions of Americans, and end the airport chaos.
The reason that we can't accept this ridiculousness, okay, is because we're not going to risk not funding the agencies that keep the American people safe.
Speaker Johnson wants to propose a 60-day continuing resolution to fund all of DHS, including ICE. House Democrats say that is a non-starter without reforms to ICE. Feeling like it is a slap in the face. That is what the local union for TSA workers across Central Florida had to say after recent comments from Governor DeSantis questioning TSA. This as long lines continue to pile up in airports like here in Houston. Your Orange County community correspondent, Talisa Hampton, sat down with leaders of the union about how workers are reacting to those comments.
Well, leaders within that union, they say they represent hundreds of TSA workers in Central Florida, but also North Florida. And they say that they have been receiving a number of calls from people who are worried after the governor's comments, but they say they won't be going down without a fight. Across the country, TSA lines have grown with the partial government shutdown.
The whole workforce has been put through the ringer.
TSA officers who are already feeling the financial impact the Central Florida TSA union says are now dealing with yet another blow.
Do you feel like it's a slap in the face? It is. 100%.
Over the weekend, the governor posted on social media questioning the use of TSA and his support for airports and airlines to take over its own security, bringing the conversation back around to private screening contractors, which some airports already have.
You cannot put a price on the safety of the traveling public. Eliminating TSA out of airports would be a mistake.
And in a News 6 poll, we asked you, our viewers, about the matter. One person says each airport should be responsible for their own security. Others writing, it's safe the way it is. Privatizing simply would lead to corruption, and try paying TSA.
Many of us went into the agency right after 9/11 happened. We know what 9/11 means. We don't want 9/11 to happen again.
Mentioning how even if they can't catch everything in screening, they don't take it lightly.
We are learning with every evolution of threats that come our way. We might have not catch the item today, but we learn from it.
After going through the longest government shutdown and now thrust back into a partial one, the local union, which represents around 2,500 workers, says many are still clocking in with a purpose.
We have been very resilient and we're still here. And even if they try to privatize, we're not going to go away without a fight.
Reporting for News 6, I'm Talisa Hampton.
New at 5, an Orange County judge receives a public reprimand for comments in 2 separate cases. One in particular revolves a remark about chopped cotton while referring to community service for a black woman. News 6 received this filing from the Florida Supreme Court. It details a public reprimand for Judge John Jordan. In one case, Judge Jordan was discussing community service for a black woman entering a plea for felony battery. In court, the judge asked her great uncle, "Do you own any land where I could have her work it for 30 hours? All my family's farming. They love me out there. You ever chopped cotton before? You know what that is. You take a hoe and you knock out the weeds. That'll straighten you up real quick." Judge Jordan insists he is not a racist and does not make rulings or decisions improperly based on race. The commission has no evidence that such has occurred. In another case, the judge told 2 public defenders to shut up 3 times. The lawyers argued he was rude. In response, the judge issued a mistrial and said, "I understand what's going on. I'm declaring a mistrial and we'll get another judge for you. I'm done. I'm not going to deal with pettiness like this. In the attached stipulation, the Judicial Qualifications Commission says Judge Jordan has expressed remorse, does not contest the findings, and he accepts the discipline of a public reprimand. Now, Judge Jordan did submit awards to the panel and a 2011 invitation to join the College of Law Advisory Committee at Florida A&M. That's a well-known historically black university. The Florida Supreme Court must now decide whether or not to accept that stipulation.
Tonight, if it feels like you are always hitting a detour just trying to get home, you are not alone. For some Orlando residents, construction has become part of their daily routine. And now a multi-million-dollar power project by the Orlando Utilities Commission could keep those delays coming for years. Your Orange County community correspondent Jarrell Baker tells us more.
For a decade, Jules Botticello and her husband have seen construction like this, as well as signs of road closures and detours near Fern Creek Avenue, and it seems like it's never ending.
It's an older neighborhood, so seeing the upgrades is welcomed, but some of the noise and the extra traffic and, fast cars driving through could definitely be disruptive.
A little bit disruptive. And for Chris Merziak, it feels like construction pops up randomly all the time.
Every day now we have new stuff going on, so it's just a constant, well, which way can I go today? Which way can I go? And then can I even get out of my driveway some days?
And while those projects are underway, a new project is set to begin soon. The Orlando Utilities Commission is planning to roll out a $247 million project, which means even more construction along Fern Creek Avenue. Now, a big part of the OUC's plan is to run a new high voltage line from their Persian substation near downtown to a new substation they plan to create here near the Lake Ivanhoe and the Lake Highland area, all to prevent straining the grid like we saw during February's freeze.
Truthfully, infrastructure underground is easier to work with because then you don't need a boom truck to get to everything. So I'm good and I'm happy that that's happening.
But what residents aren't so happy about is the project includes years of road closures and detours and is set to last until 2029.
It's a lot on residents around here where we don't know what's going to be closed when and for how long.
The street work is set to start early next year for Fern Creek Avenue, then move near Crystal Lake Drive and Curry Ford Road afterwards. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Jarrell Baker.
Yeah, a lot for residents and a lot for business owners, too, small business owners.
Yeah. News 6 at 5. We'll be right back. This portion of the news is sponsored by Shark Coatings. Earlier this year, Crew 11 was forced to end their trip early. Mike Fink had a medical situation. Today we're hearing from him, who's opening up about his experience, saying he suddenly was unable to speak in space for about 20 minutes. He spoke to CBS News where he says he's still not exactly sure what happened, but he's grateful for his time in space.
My crewmates all helped me get through what it was, and I'm not being vague, is that we're still trying to figure out exactly what it might have been. We can say a lot of things it wasn't. For example, I did not have a heart attack. In fact, before we fly, they make sure we're extremely healthy individuals so that we don't have the chances for any of these kind of things are very small.
So Fink says his crewmates knew right away something was off and says that this situation shows the importance of preparation and being ready for anything. Crew 12 took off February 13th, earlier than expected due to the early return of Crew 11.
All right, we want to get over to meteorologist Jonathan Kagas. We have some changes on the way for the weekend.
Big ones for sure. It's certainly not going to feel and look like it is outside right now. I think we'll see extra clouds going forward, and we will see a stronger cold front to really crank up the winds. There's the front right now. It's just getting ready to push through the north side of Georgia, on the north side of Atlanta. That chunk of high pressure over the plains right now, the northern plains. That's what's going to be the big deal and helping to crank up the wind. So here comes that front early tomorrow morning. We'll notice its passage by the winds going nuts tomorrow morning and then really increasing the cloud cover into the afternoon. We're going to shift the wind direction out of the north and northeast right off of the Atlantic, and that's going to do a couple of things. It's going to really bring in the extra moisture to keep the clouds in play. It would also help to generate a few very gusty downpours at times. I think a lot of us are going to be on the drier side for the weekend, but expect the higher opportunity, relatively speaking anyway, coming in along the coast. There's 3 o'clock. You see the white on your screen representing the clouds, so we continue to keep that persistent onshore flow rolling into the afternoon tomorrow. In terms of those wind gusts, this is going to be Saturday morning, 10 o'clock in the morning. Watch them increase throughout the course of the afternoon. We're looking at 7 to 8 o'clock, and you notice again those gusts topping 30 to 40 miles an hour at times. We'll be in that range again by the time you wake up on Sunday morning, still in that 30 to 40 mile per hour gust range. They will start to back off a little bit by the evening, but it will still be gusty, just not as gusty. And I think that breeze stays with us as we move through the day on Wednesday or on Monday as well. Here's a live look at downtown Orlando with our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Skycam. We have air temperatures back into the mid-80s right now at the airport. We're at 83 in DeLand. We're at 84 in Ocala. Bushnell, good evening. We're back to 83 degrees at this time. Heading into tomorrow, we're starting our day into the low to mid-60s. You're going to notice the clouds gradually increase and then the winds start to go up. Now here's a look at your afternoon.
Your forecast is sponsored by Advent Health.
Temperatures tomorrow getting back, it depends upon your location. Upper 60s and lower 70s in parts of Flagler County. That's because we get the front first. We get the extra clouds first. We'll be in the lower 80s in Mount Dora, 85 in Kissimmee, 85 degrees in Holopaw. And again, those rain chances going up to 30% because we do have that front around, and we also have that very gusty wind off of the Atlantic, bringing in those rain chances. We're at 71 at the beach tomorrow. Certainly not the best beach day. You're going to notice the waves start to also break very, very large tomorrow, increasing by the afternoon and especially evening to about 7 to 12 feet tomorrow. And over the next few days, we're going to keep things pretty windy. Back to the 30% shot for downpours as we get into Saturday. Sunday, we're at the 30% chance for rain as well, mainly along the coast. Temperatures fall back into the mid-70s. We'll warm things back up a little bit as we get into Tuesday, lower 80s with some sunshine. We'll keep things in the mid-80s Wednesday and Thursday, guys.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Throughout March, we are celebrating Women's History Month here at News 6.
We're highlighting a group of women who are looking to shatter stereotypes. Up next, we introduce you to a roller derby team in Ocala, empowering women one body check at a time.
After their full-time 9-to-5s, one group of women packs up and heads to another job, one that combines athleticism, community, and more importantly, shattering stereotypes. I'm News 6 anchor Lauren Melendez with a look inside one Ocala Roller Derby's league celebrating Women's History Month. This was never about changing the way people perceive women.
I have tattoos and I wear glasses. Everyone really embraces who you are and come as you are.
All right, let's slide up on the jammer line.
In fact, it's all about them.
You could be the tough one, you could be the sexy one, you could be the smart one. All right, go ahead.
But as roller derby's evolved into a sanctioned sport with rules in the past 30 years,
coming in for the offense, go take the inside.
It's legitimized the duality of women athletes and in all phases of life.
You could be any age. You could be any size. You can be underweight or overweight. The sport celebrates all different types of, tools that you have as an athlete. Awesome, one more lap.
On a Tuesday evening, it's a different kind of girls' night. After being a medical educator and a mom all day, Talia Levon Bender transforms into Madam Battle Axe at practice.
And water! It gives you the opportunity to get any aggressions out.
And not because she's running away from anything, but toward a better version of herself.
It's a total full body workout. There's never a time when you don't come out here and sweat.
Ocala Brick City Rollers, like other female roller derby leagues, create community for women who build some of the most unlikely bonds.
This is all about, uplifting each other. We help each other when we're down. Give me every gift that I have today, from incredible friendships to I have so much health and strength physically.
While balancing the grit and pain of full contact and the femininity of a full face. In their quest to outscore opponents by using a human jammer to force through a group of blockers.
Then make that hole for
Women's roller derby has managed to shatter the expectations of ladylike behavior, reclaiming space on their own terms.
And that's the end of the jam.
In Ocala, Lauren Melendez, News 6.
Well, one sign you may have seen driving around is a no stopping, standing, or parking sign, but what exactly does that mean?
They're most commonly found in parking lots, but there are some key differences, so we sent out Trooper Steve on patrol to explain.
So you see how these cars are cruising out here? They're doing exactly what they're supposed to be, far over by the Dollar Tree over there. If a car was to stop, stopping means exactly that, right? Your vehicle's not moving. Even if it's just for a moment, that includes oh, I'll just be here for a second, or I'm waiting for my buddy, he's inside. Who's done this? Raise your hand. I've done it. We've all done it, all right? But you could be causing an issue with stuff like that. Standing, okay, is not on your 2 feet. It's on your 4 tires, is when your vehicle is stopped but actively engaged. Weird, right? But you're engaged in something, you pulled up real quick and someone is actively getting out of the car. Or you pulled up real quick and someone's loading something into your vehicle. When those signs are clearly posted that say no stopping or standing at any time. All right? So it is the exact same as a no parking zone.
You can see his entire breakdown right now on clickorlando.com. Hit the road with Trooper Steve on patrol weekdays at 2:30 in the afternoon, 8:30 at night. On News 6 Plus, streaming on your smart TV or clickorlando.com.
Ginger Gadsden is in the newsroom with what we're working on for News 6 at 6.
We're following breaking news tonight as golf icon Tiger Woods was involved in a rollover crash in Florida. The new details just revealed by the sheriff's office. Plus.
What happened or what's going on?
I have no idea. He was on the ride. From what medical services told me, it looks like a massive cardiac event.
Chaotic moments as Orange County deputies respond to a man found unresponsive at Epic Universe back in September.
A proposed truck stop is creating a big stir for residents here in the DeLand area of Volusia County. I'm Molly Reed. Coming up, we'll tell you where it's being proposed and what happens next.
And as we head into the weekend, this is a live look at downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Together camera. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas is up with a look at your weekend forecast so you can be ready for what's ahead. We will be right back.
Now on News 6 at 6, body cam video showing the moments Orange County deputies showed up to an emergency on a roller coaster.
What happened or what's going on?
He was on the ride. From what medical services told me, it looks like a massive cardiac event.
We're breaking down the confusion and the chaos. Plus, an Orange County judge in hot water after comments in the courtroom. And
there is a need for a truck stop, but I believe they could find a better location.
Neighbors in Volusia County speaking out about a proposed truck stop in DeLand. News 6 at 6 starts now. Let's begin tonight with some breaking news. Golf icon has been arrested after a crash in Florida.
Yeah, authorities say Tiger Woods showed signs of impairment at the scene today. Now, this is a picture from a news station in West Palm Beach. The Martin County Sheriff's Office just said the golf star was involved in a rollover crash near his home on Jupiter Island around 2 this afternoon. Deputies say Woods' car was speeding and trying to pass a work truck on a 2-lane road. They say that's when Woods hit the back of that truck, then his car rolled over. Deputies say Woods cooperated with a breathalyzer test, which they say registered 0, but they say he refused a urine test.
He is cooperative, but he was not trying to incriminate himself. So he was careful in what he said and didn't say. And when it came time again for the test, the urine test at the jail, he stopped that. Let me go back to one thing. There is a Florida state statute that requires us to keep people incarcerated for at least 8 hours post a DUI arrest. So he's in our jail. He will be there for at least 8 hours from 3 o'clock for at least 8 hours, and then he'll be released on bond if he posts bond.
Now, nobody was hurt in the crash. This is one of several notable crashes the sports icon has been involved in. We have more on this story. You'll find it on clickorlando.com. New tonight, Florida's Attorney General says a former mascot police officer should be executed next week after a new DNA test failed to clear him of a decades-old murder.
James Duckett was originally scheduled to die by lethal injection this coming Tuesday, but the Florida Supreme Court temporarily halted the execution so evidence from that murder case could be tested for DNA. News 6 investigator Mike DeForest is live in the newsroom breaking down the developments in this case. So, Mike, what are you learning about this?
Well, Matt, within just the past hour, Florida's Attorney General filed these papers saying DNA that James Duckett claimed would prove his innocence were actually inconclusive. Since those DNA tests were inconclusive, and since the test results do not exonerate Duckett, the Attorney General is now asking the Florida Supreme Court to lift the stay of execution. James Duckett, who has been on Florida's death row for nearly 4 decades, was scheduled to die by lethal injection this coming Tuesday. But the Florida Supreme Court has put that execution on hold, at least for now. A Lake County jury convicted the former mascot police officer of raping and murdering 11-year-old Teresa Maccabee back in 1987. Now, earlier this month, a judge granted Duckett's request to conduct DNA testing on a swab that was taken from the victim's underwear. Now, Duckett argued that DNA testing would prove his innocence. But according to the Attorney General, the DNA testing on the decades-old evidence proves nothing. Duckett previously filed court papers suggesting he might challenge any unfavorable DNA test results. It's unclear what might happen next in this case, but as of this moment, the Florida Supreme Court's stay of execution remains in place. That, of course, could soon change. Reporting live in the newsroom, Mike DeForest, News 6.
All right, Mike, thank you. And we apologize for those audio issues you were hearing there. We'll try and figure out what's going on with that sound. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas, though, joins us now with a look at our weekend forecast. And it looks like winds of change are blowing into our area.
You know, to say the least, for sure. Yeah, we have a big cold front on the way. It's not going to drop our temperatures too much, but it is going to really crank up the wind a little bit. We have a wind advisory in play for the eastern half of central Florida. That's going to go into effect overnight tonight and then stay with us through Sunday morning. This is going to be because routine wind gusts in that 30 to 40 mile per hour ballpark. And at times, we will have those gusts get back into that 45 mile per hour threshold as we move towards the coast. There we go tomorrow. You see it starts to turn gusty as we get towards lunchtime earlier for us north of Orlando. And then you see it just climb the ladder as we go back into the early part of your afternoon, ramping up further as we get into the evening. Rain chances at 30% tomorrow. This is as the front comes through, but then also with that gusty wind shifting off of the Atlantic, we are going to see air temperatures that get back into the upper 70s and lower 80s, but push in some of the extra clouds and also give us the chance for a few gusty showers. It's not going to be a washout, but I do think this weekend's on the grayer side, especially once we get into Saturday. We're going to talk more about the timeline of the wind and those shower chances coming up at about 6:17, guys.
Jonathan, thank you. It's not looking good. Those are the words from one of the Orange County Sheriff's deputies who responded to Epic Universe. This after a 32-year-old man was found unresponsive while riding the Stardust Racers roller coaster.
Yeah, those comments revealed tonight in newly obtained body camera footage showing the moments as first responders worked to keep Kevin Rodriguez Zavala alive. Your Orlando community correspondent, Mike Valenti, joins us now live. And Mike, there was a lot of stuff to go through today.
Yeah, a lot of video here, guys, much of which is to watch because moments after this, we know that Kevin Rodriguez Zavala, 32-year-old, would be declared dead. Now, we will not show you any of the CPR being performed on Zavala or signs of his injuries, but we still want to warn you that you might find some of what you're about to see distressing.
One of those ride carts is just like blood.
September 17th, 2025.
He was strapped in, but then he passed out, right, unconscious.
Deputies are called to Epic Universe.
Do not discuss the incident amongst yourselves.
They talk to Universal employees.
Briefly describe what you saw and how you saw it.
I saw him on the first drop. I saw him hit his head. I tried to hold him. I couldn't hold him.
And they interview Zavala's girlfriend, whose face we are blurring out of respect. She was riding next to him on Stardust.
So he kept hitting his head. I tried to hold him so he doesn't hit his head anymore.
The medical examiner later determined Zavala, who was in a wheelchair due to a pre-existing spinal injury, died from blunt impact injuries. The Orange County Sheriff's Office closed the investigation, ruling his death accidental.
The girlfriend was telling me that they tried several times to hook it up, and they couldn't.
3 days after their son died, Zavala's parents spoke to investigators about the day their lives changed forever.
She told him.
I told
Listen,
him,
please
okay,
do not go into it.
to the new roller coaster.
So the Orange County Sheriff's Office concluded Zavala struck his head repeatedly on a metal bar while riding that roller coaster. But again, just to reiterate, investigators did determine Universal Orlando employees were not careless or neglectful in their duties that night. Mike Valenti, News 6.
All right, Mike, thank you. And you can read our full coverage on this story all the way back to last September right now on clickorlando.com.
Well, an Orange County judge receives a public reprimand for comments in 2 separate cases, and one in particular involves a remark about chopped cotton while referring to community service for a black woman. News 6 received this filing from the Florida Supreme Court. It details a public reprimand for Judge John Jordan. In one case, Judge Jordan was discussing community service for a black woman entering a plea for felony battery. In court, the judge asked her great uncle, "Do you own any land where I could have her work it for 30 hours? All my family's farming. They love me out there. You ever chopped cotton before? You know what that is? You take a hoe and you knock out the weeds. That'll straighten you up real quick." Judge Jordan insists he is not a racist and does not make rulings or decisions improperly based on race. The commission has no evidence that such has occurred. In another case, the judge told 2 public defenders to shut up 3 times. The lawyers argued he was rude. In response, the judge issued a mistrial and said, "I understand what's going on. I'm declaring a mistrial and we'll get another judge for you. I'm done. I'm not going to deal with pettiness like this." In the attached stipulation, the Judicial Qualifications Commission says Judge Jordan has expressed remorse, does not contest the findings, and he accepts the discipline of a public reprimand. So the Florida Supreme Court must now decide whether to accept that stipulation. Judge Jordan submitted to the panel awards and a 2011 invitation to join the College of Law Advisory Committee at Florida A&M. That's a well-known historically black university.
People who live in DeLand are fighting against a proposed truck plaza that would bring dozens of semis to town at any point. The plaza would be near I-4 and State Route 44. Your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed breaks down what's proposed and the fight against it.
This truck stop travel plaza would be just off State Route 44 here near the old Budget Inn in BP here just outside of DeLand. We're told that it would have a restaurant, convenience store, restrooms, places for truck drivers to stop and take a break. Now, we couldn't get an answer just yet on how many specific spots there would be for semi-trucks, but we're told there would be several dozens of those and even more for cars.
In the morning going toward I-4, in the evening coming from I-4, it's backed up for potentially a mile.
That's before adding dozens of semi-trucks.
In the last 2 weeks, there have been 4 major traffic incidents in this area.
Folks who live by the proposed plaza, especially in this 55 up community next door, have several concerns. Noise and traffic in the area are just 2 of them.
The prevailing winds are going to blow right over this neighborhood, so if you've got trucks idling, all the diesel exhaust is going to come right our way. You've got light pollution. They're talking about putting signage up so that it's visible from I-4.
Now, the state has said there is a truck stop shortage throughout Central Florida. FDOT actually has plans to build 2 just east of here off of I-4, with construction beginning this summer.
I don't understand why they have to choose this spot to put another one in there.
The land for the proposed plaza is in unincorporated Volusia County, but borders the land. The city actually sent the county a letter opposing the project, too.
I don't want to be somebody that says, not in my backyard. That's selfish, and I don't want to be like that. There is a need for a truck stop, but I believe they could find a better location.
Now, county spokesperson told me that the company behind the truck plaza has submitted an application to the county that is currently under staff review. From there, it'll go to a Volusia County Planning Committee for a vote, then to the county council. I'm your Volusia County community correspondent, Molly Reed, News 6.
Neighbors in Seminole County get a major win this week from Sanford leaders.
Now, this stems from messages some of you sent to News 6, coming up why Sanford leaders ruled against a proposed 7-Eleven in the neighborhood.
A mission that's more complicated and more dangerous by adding crew, but there's also mission objectives which NASA says will help them land astronauts on the moon. I'm your Cape Canaveral community correspondent, James Sparvero. I'll tell you what makes Artemis II so important.
Hey, here's what we're working on tonight for the CBS Evening News. You may have heard the story about a woman in Utah accused of kidnapping her child's bully. Well, tonight we have an interview with that child and his mom, what they're saying. Also, Steve Hartman with the story of a basketball team that gave back a championship. All that and more ahead on the CBS Evening News.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Advent Health.
If you are just joining us, we're following some breaking news for you. Golf icon Tiger Woods has been arrested after a rollover crash in South Florida. It happened around 2 o'clock today. Authorities say Woods showed signs of impairment at the scene. This is a picture of the scene from a news station in West Palm Beach. The Martin County Sheriff's Office just said the golf star was involved in a rollover crash near his home on Jupiter Island. Again, this happened around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Deputies say Woods' car was speeding and trying to pass a work truck on a 2-lane road. That's when they say Woods hit the back of that truck, then forcing his car to roll over. Deputies say Woods cooperated with a breathalyzer test, which they say registered 0, but when they asked him, he refused to take a urine test. No one was hurt in this crash.
Some neighbors in Sanford are getting what they hoped for as leaders voted against plans to build a new 7-Eleven. It would have went near their homes on the corner of East Lake Mary Boulevard and Skyway Drive. Earlier this month, we told you how some said this gas station was the last thing they wanted in their community. This after one of you reached out to us about your concerns. Neighbors telling your Sanford community correspondent, Catherine Silver, it would have changed their neighborhood.
Our neighbors would have had intense light pollution coming in their bedroom windows, and the traffic would have been a nightmare.
Commissioners say this was a tough decision and voted with future plans of the city in mind, leading to a unanimous no vote.
Well, people are going to the moon for the first time in more than 50 years, and to build off the success of the Artemis I uncrewed flight just a few years ago. The program's first astronauts will have to do a lot more than just kick back and enjoy their view.
Yeah, your Cape Canaveral community correspondent James Sparvero tells us the important jobs both the crew and some special Kennedy Space Center employees have.
Adding people to a flight around the moon obviously makes Artemis II more complicated and more risky, but it also brings new mission objectives, which NASA says will help pave the way towards landing astronauts on the moon. Unlike my recording 4 years ago of the Artemis I launch, when the Space Launch System takes off this time, this rocket will carry its first human cargo. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen, who I've talked to about their excitement,
I'm super excited. It's an extraordinary opportunity.
will work on experiments to study how deep space affects their bodies and minds.
This is really the first test of that life support system. And so
CBS space expert Bill Harwood is talking about the astronauts' crew capsule, the Orion, which in 2022 only had a mannequin on board.
So when they launch, they spend a full day in Earth orbit just testing Orion to make sure that those systems are all working right before they commit to going all the way to the moon. That's a very big deal.
It's also a big deal, this mission, to be these two. And I thought my job was cool. Taylor Hose and Christian Warner will be some of the last people the astronauts see before they come home about 10 days later. Taylor and Christian talked to me about what it's like to be part of the Artemis closeout crew that straps the crew into Orion. They even dressed like it's launch day.
Specifically for closeout crew, we work with the Artemis II flight crew, getting them into the vehicle, getting the hatches closed on launch day, and making sure that vehicle is ready to fly for the crew.
Do you have a special message on your mind you might say to the crew, since you guys are the last ones who see them before they launch around the moon?
I genuinely think it's just going to come in the moment. We'll just have to see when that time comes.
NASA described how close the crew will be to the moon, like if you were to imagine holding a basketball at an arm's length from your face. Their lunar flyby will be their chance, of course, to take pictures of the far side of the moon and the lunar surface, where NASA hopes astronauts will step foot in just another 2 years. In Brevard County, I'm your Cape Canaveral community correspondent, James Sparvero, News 6.
All right, we have a potentially ugly, at least pieces to the weekend here. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas joining us now. How is it going to look?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of clouds, guys, and there's going to be a lot of wind. That's going to be the biggest thing that you're going to notice this weekend is the wind. Right now, we have a couple of stray downpours hanging around the turnpike just north of us in Kenansville. That's really it tonight. The next couple of hours may be able to generate a stray shower or two. Most of us will be dry if we're trying to head out this evening. It's going to be very nice for most of us. Here's a live look outside Port Canaveral, Brevard County. A lot of sunshine for us in this shot with our Launch Credit Union camera. We have air temperatures now into the lower 80s under that mainly sunny sky. The breeze at about 10-ish miles per hour. That's going way up tomorrow to a tune of gusting to 40-ish miles an hour, especially along the coast, more like 30 to 40 inland. 82 right now in DeLand. We're at 80 degrees in Daytona Beach. Groveland, good evening. We are situated at 85. Holopaw, we are checking in at 82 this evening. Now, tomorrow morning, we're going to start things off into the lower 60s. We have a front approaching from the north, and that's going to change things up a little bit. For that, here's a look at your afternoon.
Your forecast is sponsored by Strata Services.
Rain chances tomorrow go up to 30%. Number one, because of that front, I'll show you in a second. And then the other part is the breeze coming in off the Atlantic is going to help to generate a couple of showers. We're in the lower 80s in Fruitland Park. Bunnell, we're going to be in the lower 70s. That front crosses obviously north to south first. That means we get the extra clouds first and then some of the cooler air to spill down. So we're not going to be allowed to warm up as much. The other deal is that breeze. You're going to notice it tomorrow. This is for inland areas. As we get towards the early afternoon, you see the gusts getting up to about 20 to 25, and then we really ramp it up to that 30 to 40 mile per hour ballpark for most of us through at least tomorrow evening. And then as we move into Sunday morning, we have wind advisory in play until Sunday morning. It's all because of this gigantic chunk of high pressure that's going to be sliding off the coast. This is early tomorrow morning. The darker the blue here, the higher the pressure. So this high pressure cell is very strong. And you see it working off the eastern seaboard, and notice those little white lines there. That's the wind direction. So we just have consistent and persistent winds blasting the east coast of Florida. That's going to again help generate a couple of showers and keep the wind gusts very, very high through at least Sunday. It will remain breezy through the weekend. Here we go with the rest of tonight. Again, a stray shower in the mix. Most of us are dry. Notice we have some clouds out there to start. And then once we get into the afternoon, there's 1 to 2 o'clock, a couple of downpours in the mix. Otherwise, most of us are going to be mainly cloudy. That's the white on your screen. Here's what I'm talking about in terms of the rain chances. The highest chance for a few gusty showers, and they will be gusty showers, will be closer to the coast if your plans take you to the beach, which it's going to be very gusty. It's going to be very dangerous in the water. Waves breaking at about 7 to 12 feet this weekend. But that's going to be your deal as we get towards 9 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. The further west you are, the drier will still be gray. But then there are those scattered showers that continue to pinwheel in off of the Atlantic seaboard as we move through the day on Sunday as well. Rain chances on Sunday at 30%. We're back to the mid-70s. Upper 70s on Monday. We're back to a 20% shot for just a few stray downpours, still with that easterly wind in play. And then we get back to where we should be for this time of the year, which is the lower 80s, and a whole lot of extra sunshine coming away by Tuesday.
Here's a look at your top stories tonight. The Orange County Sheriff's Office releasing body cam of the moments deputies respond to a man found unresponsive at Epic Universe in September. First responders tried performing CPR on Kevin Rodriguez Zavala before taking him away on a stretcher. He later died at the hospital. According to the medical examiner, his cause of death was multiple blunt impact injuries.
Florida's Attorney General says a former mascot police officer should be executed next week for murdering a young girl decades ago. This after new DNA tests were inconclusive and failed to clear him of the crime. James Duckett was originally scheduled to die by lethal injection this coming Tuesday, but the Florida Supreme Court temporarily put that execution on hold.
Authorities say Tiger Woods showed signs of impairment after a car crash today in Florida. Here's a picture from a news station in West Palm. The Martin County Sheriff's Office just said the golf star was involved in a rollover crash near his home on Jupiter Island. Around 2 this afternoon, deputies say Woods cooperated with a breathalyzer test, which they said registered zeros, but they say he refused a urine test. No one was hurt in the crash.
Remember, you can get updates on all the top stories happening right now in your community by going to clickorlando.com.
Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas now. How are we looking going into the evening?
Yeah, the evening's looking pretty good. Just a stray shower in the mix. There's just a couple of out there right now. Tomorrow, though, that's when things really change. It's going to get really windy through the afternoon. It's going to stay windy through the weekend. It'll turn a little on the gray side as well. Best opportunity for rain, and those showers will be gusty, will be closer to the coast. So the closer to the coast you are, the better shot you have to see. Get a little damp through the weekend. You see a little cooler as well by the time we get to Sunday.
70s for highs. I wasn't sure we would see it again for a while. More news coming up at 9 o'clock on clickorlando.com and the News 6 Plus streaming app.
Until then, have a great night, everybody. Bye.